Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This is story about what if Naruto becomes a high-class devils part 1. Before I start, please do support for more amazing content and comments for part 2. Do consider to subscribe my channel and share my video to your friends and check out the description as well. Let's start the video. Bale Clan Territory. Low-class devil holdings. The Bale Clan, the highest-ranking devil clan in the underworld, holds the title of Great King of the Underworld. The Bale Clan is a prideful group of devils, believing that power was everything and how it should be used to rank others. Lord Bale, the leader of the Bale Clan, controls his family with an iron fist, not allowing any of side branches of the clan prosper over the main branch. The headstrong man sowed his beliefs into his followers, and they were punished if they didn't agree with his method of rank. Now, in a small house in the Bale territory holds a family. Inside one of the many rooms sleeps our hero. Introducing Naruto Bale, a low-class, pure-blood devil son of Minato Bale and Kushina Bale. Suddenly, a ringing alarm floods the room. Beep beep asterisk beep asterisk b. Slamming his hand down on the alarm, a grumpy young Naruto slowly pulls himself from under the covers, revealing his face. Naruto squinted his eyes as he yawned while running his hands through his blonde spiky hair that covered his head. He opened his to show the world his marvelous blue eyes, a feature he received from his father. He got up from his bed, showing he was only wearing blue gym shorts for pajamas, and walked to his mirror and grabbed his comb. Childishly, young Naruto tried to comb through his unkempt hair but failed to do so. Damn it. Stupid hair. He whispered to himself as he threw his comb back down on his dresser. After taking a quick trip to the bathroom to brush his teeth, Naruto happily headed to the kitchen where he sees his father, Minato Bale, reading a newspaper while drinking coffee. "Mornin', Dad!" Naruto exclaimed as he jumped at his father, who almost dropped his coffee onto his son. "Naruto!" he yelled as caught his son from falling down on the ground. A smile grew on Minato's face, which looked to be carbon copies of Naruto's, as he looked at his son's smiling face. "Good morning to you too, Naruto!" A voice from the kitchen yelled, "Stop harassing your father." Entering the dining room was the all-beautiful Kushina Bale, Naruto's mother and wife to Minato Bale. She was currently in a maid outfit and was bringing in a plate with Naruto's breakfast on it. "Good morning, mother," Naruto said with a shining smile on his face, which also put one onto Kushina's face as well. His happiness was impossible to evade. "Good morning, son," she said calmly as she set his breakfast down on the table, in which he started to gobble down like an animal. Ignoring the beast that was eating her food, she turned to Minato. "Love, I have to leave now. They want me in early today." "All right, Kushina," stated Minato as he got up from his seat and kissed her cheek. "Have a good day." The family consisting of Kushina, Minato, and Naruto were all low-class devils from the Bale clan. They were all purebloods, but they just ranked low in power. Kushina was a maid for the main family of the Bales, which included Miss Bale and Lord Bale himself, who lived in Bale Castle. Her job was to help Miss Bale with jobs around the castle as well as taking care of castle itself, making sure every room was kept clean. She worked 6 days a week and was called whenever the main family needed her services. "Goodbye, Naruto. Be good at school today," said Kushina as she slowly teleported away for a day at work. "Naruto, aren't you late as well?" asked Minato as he looked at the clock. Minato Bale, a low-class pureblood, is currently a solider of the underworld, ready to be called in whenever enemies threaten their home. He surprisingly had time off from the war devils were currently in, which was against the angels and fallen angels. Tensions between the three factions were getting smaller day by day as the number of losses on all sides is affecting the decision-making process of the leaders of each faction. Naruto turned his head to see the clock, which read 7:45. Naruto's eyes shot out as his head as he looked at the time and quickly inhaled his food. "I am late," he yelled as he ran back upstairs to throw on some jeans and a shirt. Before running out the door, Naruto turned around and hugged his father. "Bye, Dad. I'll see you later so we can train together again," he said as he finally ran out the door with his backpack in hand. With a chuckle, Minato watched his child run down the street to school. "Have a good day, Naruto." Citri Territory, Citri Mansion. "Sarafal-sama, are you ready for school today?" asked a female devil with a maid uniform on. "Yes," said a soft voice coming from a small devil in a fancy school uniform. Introducing Sarafal Citri. Sarafal is a young, female, pureblood devil that is the heiress of the Citri clan. Sarafal has long, black hair that covered her small frame along with the prettiest shade of pink eyes that gleamed with innocence. Being from a family like the Citri, Sarafal is privileged with things like living in a huge mansion, having maids to serve her, and many more things. "Sarafal," said an incoming voice. The young Sarafal turned her body around to see her mother, Lady Citri, walking towards her. All the maids bowed to Lady Citri and slowly backed away so that Lady Citri could meet her daughter. "Good morning," she said calmly. "Good morning, mother," Sarafal stated, hugging her mother's waist. Lady Citri smiled as she covered her child with her arms. Sarafal was Lady Citri's proudest accomplishment. She loved her daughter so much, and she knew that Sarafal would do great things in the future. "Are you ready to go to the academy, my child?" asked Lady Citri, her voice barely a whisper. "Yes, ma'am," answered Sarafal as she backed away from the hug to look her mother in the eye. "Good. Lady Citri stated as she put a hand on Serafal's shoulder. Remember that you are the heiress of Citri. Our family's future lies in your hands, so you need to learn and train as much as possible in order for you to make your family proud. Do you understand? Yes, ma'am, answered Serafal with a small smile as she looked up to her loving mother's similarly pink eyes. Lady Citri stared back at her daughter for a while with a smile, proud of her daughter's manners towards her. She then looked up to the many maids surrounding the two. Take her to school. Make sure no harm is brought to my little girl, demanded Lady Citri. Yes, ma'am, the maids answered. One of the maids approached Serafal and held out their hand. Serafal grabbed and the group teleported to Serafal's school. Time skip, Hibiya Academy. Okay, now that everyone is here, we can start class, said the devil teacher as she finished counting roll. One of the students in the class raised their hand, getting the attention of everyone in the class. The teacher saw this and pointed to the student, giving them the floor. What is it that I will be learning today? Asked the student. Great question, said the teacher as she adjusted her glasses. Today we will be learning the differences in classes of devils. In her seat in the front row, Serafal perked up at the topic. She always wanted to learn more about the devil ranking system that they all followed and knew that she would have to learn this in order to become a proper heir to the Citri clan. These rules that we follow are set to differentiate the lower class devils from the higher devils. The teacher then pointed to all the students in the class. Each and every one of you in here are high-class devils because of the families that you come from. Your individual families have exclusive powers and talents that benefit the devil society, and you all should be proud that you come from such amazing and important families, the teacher explained. Serafal raised her hand next, in which the teacher called for her to speak. What about middle and lower-class devils? Well, said the teacher as she adjusted her glasses, you can still be born into those two classes, but you can also be promoted as well. Most middle-class devils are devils that have purpose in our society. They are excellent workers and have mid-tier to high ranks in the military. They are the closest devils to garnering the statues as a high-class devils. And the low-class devils? One student asked. The teacher smirked a little as she adjusted her glasses once more. Low-class devils aren't anything special. They are servants for higher-tier devils and will always remain at the bottom. They don't have any special abilities and are our foot soldiers. Never take any disrespect from a low-class devil. But, said Serafal as she raised her hand, shouldn't we be nice to those below us? You can be, said the teacher. But it isn't need. Always remember, my prestigious students, the teacher once again adjusted her glasses as she looked up to her class that was listening to her every word. You are better than any lower-class devil. Remember that. Exceeding Excellence Academy. Class, please quiet down, said the teacher in his chair, as he drank his coffee in stress. I'm the Mao of the whole underworld, shouted a student as he stood on top of his desk. No, I am, shouted another. Me, shut the hell up, I said the teacher as he slammed his hand on the table, scaring his obnoxious students. Naruto sat towards the back of his class folding paper, an activity he picked up after seeing some of the other kids do it. He used tape to hold the paper together and made it to where the paper looked like claws. He inserted his fingers into the paper claws until it looked like he had claws for fingers. Smirking deviously, Naruto jumped at one of the students that were standing on their desk and swiped at them with his fake claws. Picking up on what he was doing, the student acted like his neck was bleeding out and fell on the floor as he fake died. All of the students, including Naruto, laughed at the scene and pointed at the child. Who's next? Said Naruto as he held up his fake claws in victory. Next to go to detention, I presume? Asked the teacher who appeared right behind Naruto and put his hands on Naruto's shoulders, slowly adding pressure. Ow. Okay, I'm sorry, shouted Naruto as he tried to get away. The male teacher smirked a little at the squirming Naruto and let him go. Maybe you all should get back to your seats before I do it to everyone in this room, he shouted. The room suddenly went quiet as all the students went back to their seats as expected. The male teacher grunted before returning back to his desk and grabbing the roll call. Kurumu Kurono, here. Akame, here. Naruto Bail, I'm not here. Twitch Kensai Belial, here. The teacher went on until he finished the roll call and put the list back in his desk. He sighed as he drank the rest of his coffee and looked up at his students. Today's lesson isn't as fun as the others, said the teacher as he got up from his desk. What do you mean? None of your lessons are fun, said a student that got the class laughing. After the students finished laughing, he continued, today's lesson is about devil rank, he stated as he wrote the words devil rank on the chalkboard. Does anyone know the 3 ranks a devil can be? He asked. One student raised their hands. Please answer, Kaido, said the teacher. There are low, middle, and high-ranking devils, right? He answered / asked. Correct, said the teacher. Most of us in this room are low-class devils, with a few of being middle-class devils. This, my students, is a real-world situation that I hate about our society. What do you mean? Asked another student. Well, said the teacher as he sat down on the edge of his desk. Because of your devil rank, most of you are already judged, from the day you are born, as lesser than the high-class devils, you mean, answered Akame. Correct again, he said as he ran a hand through his hair. As long as you remain a low or middle-class devil, You will always be below the higher devil and remain servants for the rest of your long lives. But why doesn't it have to be this way? Asked an unnamed male student. Why can't everyone be equal? And what judges what rank you are? Power. The teacher simply said. Those who are strong will always remain at the top. The rest of us will remain in places like this fucked up school. He slowly took out a pack of cigarettes and placed one in his mouth. He moved to a window and opened it up. But why is it like this? Asked the same student, not even caring that he was smoking in front of them. The teacher put his thumb on the end of the cigarette, and it all of a sudden lit. He inhaled some and blew the smoke out the window. He looked outside for a while before looking back at his class. My name is Asuma. No last name. Because I don't have a last name, one can tell that I don't come from a family. Some of you may have known of this, said the now named Asuma as he looked at Akame specifically. Certain families have power because of abilities they have is specific to their own clan. They are high-class devils and will always rule the underworld while the rest of us get treated like dirt. It was dead silent in the class as the students looked at Asuma, who seemed to be lost in thought. It was a while before he continued to speak. However, there are some of you that come from clans. Take Kensai for example, said Asuma, causing the class to look at the young devil in curiosity. Kensai hails from the Belial clan, one of the lower-ranking families in the 72 Pillars, but still a family. Asuma took a quick smoke before continuing. The Belial clan has a special ability called Worthlessness. Kensai, do you know how this ability works? With a nod of his head, Kensai answered, Worthlessness allows devils from my family to stop any attack and defense, if I remember correctly. But in order for us to cancel them out, we have to understand how they work. Correct, said Asuma. It is an interesting and powerful ability if in the hands of a master. However, Asuma took another hit before glancing back at his student. Did you know that there is a high chance that you won't achieve this ability because of your blood? What do you mean? Asked Kensai. If you attend this school, then it is a high probability that your family are low-class devils, correct? He asked. After getting a nod from Kensai, Asuma continued, that also means that they aren't very strong, not holding any real position in the military or politically. I'm going to also assume that they don't have your clan's ability, right? Said a now worried Kensai, which probably means you won't be activating that gift during your lifetime as well because your parents don't have the skill either, meaning that they weren't that significant. Maybe their parents were also low-class devils that didn't have the ability. It is hard for low-class devils to achieve their clan's ability because it isn't known in our families. It's common for mid-class devils to have their clan ability, but it won't be as strong as a high-class devils. As for low-class devils, we'll be lucky to be born with slightly larger magic reserves, said Asuma with a sigh. Some of your parents are maids or butlers. Naruto's head peaked up at hearing this. Some of you parents are fighting in the war with the angels and fallen angels. A lot of your parents are dead. A lot of the children's head lowered in sadness at the statement. Many of the devil children's parents has died in the war, protecting the underworld and the ones they love. Meanwhile, continued Asuma, the high-class bastards sit in their mansions, all safe and sound. Some go to the war, but are favorited in many aspects. Their lives are put first. Ours are put last. What can we do? Asked Naruto as he looked up at Asuma, who turned his head to his blonde-haired student. What can we do in order to be like them? Asuma smiled a little as he turned his head back to the window, inhaling again from his cancer stick. It took a while for him to speak, but when he did, the room couldn't have gotten quieter. Nothing. Time skip. Citri Mansion. Sarah Fall was in the backyard of the mansion sitting with her legs folded with both of her hands together, eyes closed. She was concentrating on her magical reserves, trying to get a feel for it. Slowly, a blue aura surrounded Sarah Fall's small body. Sarah Fall inhaled slowly as she tapped deeper into her magic. Good job, Sarah Fall-sama, said one of Sarah Fall's many instructors as they watched the girl concentrate in the middle of the meadow. Now use the magic you have built up to attack with a water spell. Sarah Fall slowly opened her eyes and found a target, a nearby tree just waiting to be cut down. She slowly stood from the ground and pointed at the tree. A spell circle appeared just in front of her outstretched finger and water shot from it, flying like bullets towards the innocent tree. The water streaks slashed into the tree, creating 5 deep cuts embedded into the tree's bark. A small applause came from her instructors as they looked at Sarah Fall with pride. That was excellent, Sarah Fall-sama, said one of the instructors. If you keep working like this, then you'll certainly be able to represent the Citri clan among the other clans in the future. Sarah Fall saw the nods of approval and smiled to herself. She was going to represent her clan with pride and show everyone the power of Citri. She was going to have some fun along the way, but she would still work to her goal of being the strongest Citri there ever was. Thank you for training me, said Sarah Fall with humbleness as she bowed to her instructors. Gasp filled her ears and she looked up to see her instructors with worried looks on their faces. One slowly approached Sarah Fall and gently pulled her up from her bow. Sarah Fall-sama, we aren't worthy for you to bow to us like that. We should be bowing at you. Please remember that you are the most important person here, said the instructor. Now let's continue on with your training. With a nervous nod, Sarah Fall began to concentrate again, but she had this nagging feeling in the back of her head but she didn't know what it was. Naruto's house. Naruto was back home after a long day in school and reflected on what he learned from his teacher. Would he really be like this all his life? He didn't even think there was anything wrong with his life. He had 2 loving parents, and had what he needed to live. Of course, there were some things he wanted but couldn't get because they were expensive and his family didn't that much money, but he was happy. And that was all that matters, right? Currently, Naruto was in his mother and father's room at the moment. Minato wasn't home and Kushina was still at work, meaning Naruto was at the house by himself. He was doing one of his favorite pastimes, rummaging through his parents' belongings to find cool stuff. So far he hadn't found anything yet. Rummaging through his mother's stuff, he finally found something that interested him. Kushina's pin cushion. Naruto slowly took the needles out of the cushion and examined the sharp ends. He always found sharp things interesting to him, especially needles. They were so small and could go undetected until the last moment when they entered one's flesh. Naruto didn't know if his fascination with sharp objects was a good thing, but there was no denying that his mother's sewing needles were one of his favorite toys when his parents weren't in the house. He slowly used one of the needles to trace marks on his hands, making it a game to see if he could do so without stabbing himself. He was doing good until, "Ow!" shouted Naruto as he put too much pressure on the needle and it inserted into his skin by a little bit. Suppressing his tears, he pulled the needle out of his skin and watched as a very small amount of blood came from the hole he couldn't even see. That hurt, he said to himself, as he watched the blood drip down his hand. He was fascinated by the red substance, and he didn't even know why. The red, thick water of life that kept him alive, slowly exiting a wound he caused himself. It brought an unhealthy curiosity to the child. What Naruto didn't know was that Minato had made it back to the house with grocery bags in his hands. After putting the grocery bags in the right place, he headed upstairs to his room where he sensed his son to be. Slowly opening the door, he called out to his son. "Naru." Surprise filled Naruto and instinct took over. An unknown feeling took over his hand as he grabbed the needle, turned his body around, and threw the needle to where he heard the noise. While Naruto's movements were quick for a child his age, Minato, a well-known warrior throughout the low-class devils, quickly moved his head out of the way as the red needle embedded itself into the door. "Wait, red needle?" Shock filled Naruto's body as he saw his father at the door. He dropped the pin cushion and ran up to his father in worry. "Dad, are you okay? I didn't mean to do that. You surprised me and then I didn't mean to do that. I just..." "Naruto!" Minato yelled out, trying to get his son's attention. "It's okay. Honestly, I'm fine," Minato said with a reassuring smile. He lowered himself down to one knee as he looked face to face with his son. "Are you okay?" "What do you mean?" asked Naruto. "Look at your hand." Naruto raised his hand up to see that it was surrounded in a red aura. Amazed by the light show that his hand was giving the father-son duo. Amazed by his hand, he looked up to his father. "What is this, father?" asked a curious Naruto. Minato smiled and put his arm around Naruto's back. "That, my son," he said with a smile, "is your way out of here. You have the Bale bloodline in your hands. A bloodline neither me nor your mother could activate." "What is it called?" asked Naruto as his father grabbed his other hand and pulled him out to the backyard. "The power of destruction." Later that day, Citri Mansion. Being a high-class Citri devil had many perks. One of those many perks were extravagant dinners made by the Citri servants every day. Sarah False Citri is sitting with her father and mother, Lady and Lord Citri, at a magnificent dinner table that could fit over 15 people. Lord Citri sat at the top of the table with Lady Citri to his left and his daughter to right. "So Seraphol," said Lord Citri as he whipped his mouth with a napkin, "how was school today?" he asked, slowly gulping down the mashed potatoes she was mashing up more. She answered, "It was good. I made sure to listen to everything that my instructor said and I learned a lot today." "Really now?" said Lord Citri as he looked upon his daughter. "Tell me something you learned today." "I learned about the ranking system that we abide by, father," said Seraphol as she took a quick gulp of her drink. "Our teacher told us that high-class devils are at the top and that we are better than the other devils." Lord and Lady Citri frowned at what their daughter said and also noticed how some of the maids and butlers reacted. While it was professional to keep up an emotional face while working, some dropped their facade and had a face's displeasure on hearing what the young Citri learned in school. Seraphol dear," said Lady Citri while reaching out and grabbing her daughter's hand. "Yes?" she said with a cute head tilt. "Well, what your teacher said today isn't true," answered Lady Citri. "While all devils aren't born the same rank, never think yourself as better than low-ranked devils. We Citrus are proud that we treat our servants nicely and with respect that everyone deserves if you asked me." "Then why did my teacher say what she said today? About high-class devils being better? If we aren't better, why is there a ranking system like the one we live under?" asked Seraphol. "I'll say, for a young girl, you are very wise, Seraphol," complimented Lord Citri. "Most children don't think like you during their youth." He ate a piece of food before continuing to speak. "Yes, while we do have a ranking system for devils based upon one's power or family they are born into, you shouldn't treat other devils lower than you because we all serve the same purpose of protecting the underworld. We all want to live our lives out like how we want to, and nobody should be discriminated for it. That is how the Citri live. For other devils, however, this may not be so. The respect we have for our servants is what makes the Citri such a tight-knitted family, Lady Citri said, picking up where her husband left off. No matter what rank we are, Citri look out for each other. It just so happened that you are born into a richer part of the Citri clan, and you should thank Lucifer for such a life that not many devils have. Yes, ma'am, said Seraphol with a smile as she went back to eating her food. Lady and Lord Citri sighed in content, happy that they have such an understanding daughter. Both knew of the troubles that were spreading throughout the land when it came to respecting tradition. Some devils want to change, while others want to keep the same traditions going. Soon, thought both Lord and Lady Citri, something big will happen. Bale territory, Naruto's house. Later on the day, Kushina made her way back to the house after a long day of work. When she came home, she saw an ecstatic Minato and a slightly confused but happy Naruto. Wondering what her two boys were up to, she slowly made her way to the backyard where there were now small craters here and there. What is going on? Asked Kushina as he approached the two. Kushina! Shouted Minato as he picked up his wife and spun her around. Our son is amazing, me Minato! She shouted as she tried to hold in her giggles at seeing the man so happy. Put me down and tell me what's going on. After spinning her a few more times and then putting her on the ground, our happy Minato explained to Kushina. Kushina! Our child has a gift. The gift of the Bale clan. Gift of the Bale clan? What do you? Kushina cut herself off as she looked at the many craters filling their backyard, and the gears in her head clicked instantly. Naruto, said Kushina as she saw for herself as her child, her baby Naruto, had his hand encased in a red aura. Naruto, you did it! Shouted Kushina as she rushed to her son and hugged him, surprising the boy with her speed. Nevertheless, he laughed and hugged his mother back. Yup. I did it! Even though I still don't understand what's so special about this power of destruction. I mean, it makes a great shovel if you asked me. Now we can plow up dirt for the garden whenever you want, ma, said the innocent Naruto. Wait, said Kushina as she released her child, confusing him all the more. She slowly walked up to her husband and pulled him away from Naruto, wanting to speak to him in private. So he has the power of destruction, muttered Kushina. Yes. This is great for him, right? Hardly any low-class Bale unlocks the power of destruction. And especially so young. I would think you would be happier about this. What's going on? Asked Minato as he was worried for his wife. It's just. Kushina hesitated as she looked back at her son before continuing. I don't know how the elders will take this. Minato nodded his head, understanding what Kushina meant about the Bale clan leaders. They never want to see one of the low-ranking members prosper, and will try at anything to stop them from growing in fear of trying to take over the clan. The elders and Lord Bale himself only wanted those that were high-class devils prospering and representing the clan, and they'll do anything to keep it that way. Maybe, muttered Minato as he looked back at his son that was shooting destruction around the yard. Maybe we could hide his powers. Let him mature in life and then reveal it to clan heads. Then, it will give him time to understand devil society and grow in his magic. Hiding his bloodline is impossible, stated Kushina. He is just a child and he will surely want to use it. Maybe we can keep him from using outside the house. We should keep this a secret between the three of us. Yeah, but we don't know the first thing about the power of destruction, said Minato. How can we train him properly if we don't even have that power ourselves? He questioned. Our son is creative. He'll understand it over time. What we need to is make this house a safe place for him. Let's set a barrier around the house so that we'll be alerted anytime some tries to come here. We'll train him in his magic control and he'll have to do the rest. Believe in your son, Minato, said Kushina. Minato looked at his wife's eyes for a while before smiling and nodding his head in agreement. They could do this. All they had to do was inform Naruto. Naruto! Shouted Minato as he got the boy's attention. Come here, please. We have some explaining to do. Years later, the relationship between devil, angel, and fallen angel was still rocky, but there was some peace between the three factions. While the peace was only because of the heavy losses that came on all three sides, peace was still peace. However, this peace was weak and could be easily destroyed even if one small battle happened between the factions. There was a dispute going on in the underworld on the devil's side. There were devils that wanted to take advantage of their enemies' injuries and attack now. Such an opportunity like this wouldn't be available for much longer, and these devils wanted to attack now and not later. This is what history has called the Old Satan faction, a group of devils that wanted to stick with older traditions and attack the fallen angels and angels themselves. However, there were another group of devils that didn't want this to happen. This group of devils wanted to stray from the older ways and keep the loose peace that they had with the other two factions. Many lives were lost from all three factions. This group believed that they were more vulnerable than the other factions and wanted to rebuild, not go back out and fight a losing war. This was the anti-Satan faction, another group of devils that wanted peace over war. The underworld couldn't handle another attack from her enemies, nor does it have enough military power to attack one of the other factions. These two beliefs split the underworld in half, clans turning on ally clans, families against families, brothers against sisters. The underworld was currently going through a civil war, A war even worse than the war between the three factions. To fight your enemies is one thing, but for your enemies to be your kin is painful to fight against, both physically and mentally. Naruto's house. You be safe out there. Please don't do anything crazy, said Kushina as she looked one of the men that meant the most to her in this world. Naruto Bale, now in his early 20s, was no longer a little boy. He was a 5 feet 8 inches man that was stronger than even his old man. After years of training alone, Naruto has become a master of his power of destruction. It took some time because he didn't have a real teacher that could teach him, but he progressed over the years and was ready to display his power. His father was already in the war with the rest of the clan for a while, and Naruto was now of age to fight. The Bale clan surprisingly chose to fight with the anti-Satan faction, believing that fighting against the other factions at the moment was stupid and would do no good. It was surprising because the clan's traditions relate a lot with the old Satan faction's beliefs, so maybe this was a step in the right direction for the clan. Suited in a black pants and an orange jumpsuit, Naruto leaned down and kissed his mother's cheek and hugged her. Don't worry, Ma. I'm ready to fight to free the underworld. I promise you that I won't do anything stupid. I'll stick with my group and not do anything irrational. Good. And make sure that your father is okay. Because without him I don't know what I'll do, muttered Kushina as she hugged her son tight. This made Naruto frown a little. Naruto was smarter than what he let on, and many people already believed that Naruto was very smart. Throughout the years, Naruto noticed the love that she would give Minato, his father, over him. Naruto loved his mother to death, that was no lie, but Naruto could tell. His mother loved Minato more than she loved him. Naruto didn't know if that was a good or bad thing. Minato was her husband for Lucifer's sake, but as a devil and her child, Naruto wanted the amount of love Kushina would give Minato. But he dealt with it throughout the years. Seeing your husband leave for war every now and then must have been tough for Kushina, and Naruto didn't want to add any more pressure that Kushina had on her shoulders already. I'll come back alive, mother. I'll see if I can get in contact with dad as well. We aren't in the same legion, but I'll see what I can do. It's time to show everybody what I'm about, he said with a smile. Good, said Kushina with a smile as she placed her hand on Naruto's cheek. I believe in you, my son. Stay alive. Show everyone what you're made of and never forget where you came from. Yes, ma'am, said Naruto with confidence as he kissed his mother's forehead one last time before slowly backing away. I'll be home soon, said Naruto as the Bale clan symbol appeared below his feet. Goodbye, was the last words he said as he teleported alone, leaving Kushina by herself. Take care of yourself, Kushina whispered as she watched him leave. Time skip. Run, Sarafal-sama, shouted a devil covered in armor. We have everything taken, CURK. The man was suddenly hit with a fire spell that incinerated his body. A now older Sarafal's eyes widened in shock as she saw one of her clansmen die protecting her. Sarafal joined the anti-Satan faction with her family, and wanted to defend her home. Because of the influence she had as a high-class devil and that she was a powerhouse that did a lot in the war, she was high in military ranks. She was placed in Legion 56, led by a high-ranking Beal that had tons of war experience from the past. Their mission: help the Belial clan face off against the rebels of the clan that joined the old Satan faction. The house was divided on should they continue to attack or fall back from the three-faction war which created the situation they're currently in. The Belial clan's territory was a battlefield as the family fought against each other. Legion 56 was made and sent to help out the Belial that was on the anti-Satan faction and was meant to be an easy win by outnumbering the rebel Belial, which was already a smaller clan of devils if compared to other clans. However, the old Satan faction anticipated this move and sent waves of legions out to fight, outnumbering Legion 56 and Belial clan members a part of the anti-Satan faction 3-1. Legion 56 was trapped and was trying their hardest to survive, but they were slowly dying out. One of those who were dead was the original leader of the Legion 56. Sarafal, however, stepped as the new general to avoid confusion on the battlefield. Accepting her as their new leader, the Legion fought with all their might, but the numbers were still against them. Sarafal has spent over 90% of her magical reserves help her fellow members out, but the numbers were too great to save everyone, and now Sarafal was surrounded by at least 300 old Satan faction members. The devil that incinerated Sarafal's guardian stepped up to Sarafal, showing that he was the leader of this brigade. Sarafal Citri, you are to surrender now and come back with us for interrogation. If not, you will be killed here on the spot, he yelled. His army shouted in agreement. Killing a powerful devil like Sarafal could turn the tide of the war in their favor. Shit, thought Sarafal as she thought about the odds of this battle, which didn't look good. She would have to spend every lost drop of her magic carefully if she wanted to avoid being killed. She slowly got from the ground and prepared for battle. If she was to die today, she would do so defending what she loved. My name is Sarafal Citri and I won't bow down to you scums. You are fighting for a lost cause that will push the devil population down even lower. How dare you side with those who are willing to continue this cycle of war? She yelled with bravery, like we care what you say. It seems that you won't surrender, so. Suddenly, in front of Sarafal, a Bale magic symbol glowed, signaling that somebody was teleporting there. Out appeared a devil with black pants, blonde hair and orange armor? Sarafal-sama. I'm here to protect you at all cost, stated the man that had to be around her age. No! Stand down. You can't handle this group. Go run, she commanded with worry. She didn't want to see another one of her comrades die in vain trying to protect her. No can do, said the devil as he looked towards the leader. Plus I have a score to settle with that devil. Ahahaha, laughed their leader as he looked at Naruto. You think you can do anything? I can barely feel out your magic. Fucking weakling trying to play hero. Laughter surrounded the two as the whole army laughed at Naruto. He ignored it and pulled out small pieces of paper. Sarafal wondered what he was going to do with them, but she almost fell over in shock as she watched the mysterious devil throw the pieces of paper in the air, letting them fall in random positions around them. This caused another uproar of laughter from the army watching him. Sarafal looked at him in range and yelled, "What are you doing? Do you like making yourself look like a fool? Stay inside the circle of papers," said the devil as a red hue surrounded him. Let's end them now. Fire! Shouted the rebel leader. Hundreds of magical blasts shot towards Sarafal and the mysterious devil's position. Sarafal created an ice dome to cover the two of them as the attacks made contact. Listen, she said to the man as she tried to hold up the dome. You need to get out of here now. Have you noticed yet that you're not blocking anything yet? Asked the man. Sarafal wondered what he was talking about when she realized she wasn't using any magic to keep her dome intact. The papers are protecting us. They're creating a shield for us. She looked outside of her dome and confirmed that a light green dome was surrounding her own dome. Once they stop attacking, I'll use the smoke screen to attack from here. Don't use any melee attacks. Stay within the circle of paper, he added. Sarafal nodded and watched as the hue that surrounded the man grow in light. He seemed to know what he was talking about. What is your name? Asked Sarafal. The smiled when he noticed that the attacking ceased. Suddenly, the red hue that covered him flowed to his fingertips. Naruto looked back at Sarafal and answered, Naruto Bale, low-class devil and your protector for this battle. Turning back around, Naruto started waving his arms around in the air, like he was boxing with a shadow. However, Sarafal knew better. She watched as small strands of energy flew from his fingertips as he moved his arms around. Even a high-class devil would have missed it, but Sarafal saw it clearly. The power of destruction? But why are you using it in such a way? She asked. Naruto kept his smile up as he continued his deadly dance seemingly with an invisible person. When the smokescreen weakened, Sarafal watched as the rebel forces' bodies dropped for reason they weren't aware for. Hey! What's going on? I can't move. What did he do? Sarafal was amazed at what she saw. The tide of this battle turned in only 30 seconds. The only question was how did he do it? What did you do? Asked Sarafal as she scooted a little closer to her savior. Nothing much. I just destroyed their joints. They can recover from my attack if they are saved by their allies, so I'll finish them now, said Naruto as a red ball appeared in his left hand. What did you do to my men? Shouted the leaders as he revealed himself in the air. Sarafal squinted her eyes to try to get a closer look at the leader. There were small holes around his arms and leg area. So you dodged my attack. Proves that you're good, said Naruto as he looked up at the general. Yo, why you took out the majority of my men with that, whatever it was, he shouted in rage. A purple aura surrounded the man as he prepared to attack. Yeah, but this should finish the scavengers, said Naruto as he held up his left hand with the red orb. Disperse, he shouted. Another dome surrounded the two, surprising Sarafal again. However, this time, the dome started to grow in a quick rate, marking the ground below it. Coming into contact with the first fallen enemy, the devil shouted in pain as his body started to disintegrate from the shield. As the heat dome passed through the fallen's body, not even ashes were spared. The injured devils could only watch as their death quickly approached them and turned their bodies into flakes. No one spared, and what was a full battlefield was now a barren wasteland with only 3 people. The general saw red as he watched the last of his group die. Quickly, he charged down towards Naruto, wanting to end his life as painfully as possible. Naruto took a knee and a deep breath as he finished the job. That move always took a lot out of him. He was going to have to recharge before he could move around quickly. Sarafal stared in shock at the young devil in front of her. For him to do something like this with his power, his control over the power of destruction was almost as good as Surzek's. Sarafal-sama? Can you handle my approaching doom right now? I can't move out the way quick enough, said a slightly worried Naruto as he watched the man fly towards him at incredible speeds. Snapping out of her shock, she focused on the incoming threat. Summoning her magic, Sarafal shot quick ice bolts from her hand and to the general. Being a general, he easily dodged the attack but was misdirected from the attack. He landed on the ground and charged up a purple beam. This is for all of my soldiers you killed, you monster. This beam will indefinitely end you and that tired Citri. Suffer now, because he was cut off as an icicle grew from under his body and impaled him, his blood coating the spear. He talks too much, muttered Sarafal as she turned her attention from the dead general to Naruto. Her eyes softened as she watched him try to stand back up. Putting his arm around her shoulder, she helped him stand. Thanks, said a grateful. That move takes a lot out of my reserves, but I should be okay for now, he said to her. She nodded and let him stand on his own 2 feet. Naruto took in a deep breath, and his eyes glowed red for a second. The paper that Naruto used as a shield levitated off the ground and flew back into Naruto's pocket. Thanks for the help. You really saved me, said Seraphol with a smile. No problem, Seraphol-sama, said Naruto with a huff as he slowly gained mobility. Just making sure that you're okay. Hey! Enough of the Sama business. Just because I'm a Citri doesn't mean that you should treat me all royal, she shouted childishly. Naruto laughed a little before answering, Sure thing, Sarah. Seraphal's heart jumped as she heard the nickname he gave her, and a heavy blush adorned her face. Nobody she's ever known has acted so comfortable towards her so quickly. People didn't try to get to know the real her because of her title as heir of the Citri clan. She wanted to show that she was worthy for the position, but she didn't want to be alone while chasing that dream. Noticing but not saying anything about her blush, Naruto spoke, We still have a battle to win. I know that you're low on magic, so I'll do the heavy lifting. I'll disable our attackers and you'll finish them off with some quick-kill ice magic. Agreed? Shaking her head to get rid of her blush, Seraphol had a determined look on her face as she put one fist in the air. Yeah. Let's finish this, she exclaimed as the two rushed back out to the battlefield. Hours later, while the landscape around them was heavily damaged, Legion 56 and the loyal members of the Belial were successful in their mission in defending the Belial territory. The Belial territory was now under the anti-Satan faction's control. Victory! Shouted Seraphol as she held up an ice spear. The Legion shouted a war cry of victory, happy that the day's battle was won. Today's battle is won, but there are plenty more enemies for us to face in order to protect the underworld. But let's show our appreciation for the hero of this battle, Naruto Beal. The army cried out again to a shocked Naruto. He wasn't looking for thanks for doing his job. He just wanted to help everyone out. He had to take this battle seriously, or he would have lost his own life. After reviewing the battlefield to make sure that no one was left behind, the Legion made their way back to base. The group deserved a few days of rest after such a traumatic battle. Finding Naruto in the maze of people, Seraphol flew down and landed next to the blonde-haired hero. Yo, he said with a head nod. Hi, she said back as she started to walk with him. You need something, Sarah? Hope I didn't do anything wrong, he said. No. You didn't do anything wrong, said Seraphol as she shook her hands back and forth. I just wanted to thank you for what you did today. You really took control of the battle. It's not a problem. I just did what I was supposed to do. No harm done, he said as he put his hands behind his head in a relaxed position. However, one thing this battle has shown me is that I need to grow my magic reserves and increase my stamina. I am really burnt out right now and I need to be able to last longer on the field. You, on the other hand, were amazing. What? She said as she looked up to the taller devil. The way you handle yourself during battle. You are more confident and stronger than me. I want to reach your level soon so I can keep up with you since we work so well together out there today, he said with a smile. You really think I did good? She asked with big eyes that reminded Naruto of a child seeking approval of their parent. Sure did. You are amazing, he said again, this time, looking her dead in the eyes. Seraphol stared back at his baby blue eyes that seemingly had her in a trance. The same was for Naruto as he stared her pink eyes that seemed to call out to him. They were a shade that he'd never seen before and he was attracted to it. Hey, he said, snapping the both of them out of their trance. When we get back to base, do you want to talk at one of the bars? Giving him a soft smile, Seraphol answered, I'd like that. 2 years later, Naruto Bale was slowly making his way back to his mother's home, a sight he hasn't seen in a long time. The battle between the two factions was still going strong, but Naruto would still fight behind his clan. He and Seraphol, after a few battles and get-togethers, started to date. She was a shining star in his dark world filled with war and blood. Walking up to the door, he didn't sense his mother's energy inside, meaning that she must have been out for something. Naruto was sure that she was off of work during this time of day, so he just assumed that she was out for groceries. Entering the house, a pungent smell assaulted Naruto's nostrils so bad that Naruto had to pinch his nose together to keep from inhaling such a disgusting smell. It reminded him of the dead, decaying bodies that filled the many battlefields he's fought at over the years. What the hell is that? Naruto said as he entered the kitchen. Walking in, he saw that there were flies surrounding many bags of garbage that hadn't been taken out yet. He also saw that the sink was filled with dishes, a sight he would never see during his childhood. Kushina would always wash the dishes right after they ate as a family. What is going on here? He said to himself as sat down at the dinner table. There was an open letter and his curiosity was too great to ignore it. Opening the letter, he read, Dear Kushina Bale, my name is Juju Beelzebub, middle-class devil and leader of Legion 10. I am sorry to inform you that after a battle with the old Satan faction, your husband, Minato Bale, has d. Naruto dropped the letter as his heart throbbed in pain. His father was dead. Dead. Naruto put both of his hands on his face and sighed his stress. He was used to finding out that his comrades were dead, but this was something different. The man that raised him was dead. Naruto remembered that Minato would be called to war many times during his childhood, but at least he came back every time. That was a luxury most families didn't have. But now it was his turn to face the fact that war brought nothing but pain. "Wait a second," said Naruto as he picked up and unfolded the message. He then checked the top right corner of the letter. This letter was dated 3 weeks ago. The gears clicked in his head instantly as he jumped from his chair and ran to his parents' room. "Ma!" he shouted as he kicked down the locked door. She wasn't in there, but the disgusting smell was stronger in this part of the house. He ran to bathroom door and opened it, hoping that she didn't do what he thought she did. Quickly opening the door, Naruto's eyes widened at the sight of his mother hung from the shower head with rope. "And make sure that your father is okay. Because without him I don't know what I'll do." Mother, Citri Mansion. If she had to describe her life right now, Sarah Fall would probably say that it was the happiest she's ever been. Even thought her home was currently split, and at civil war with each other, she had the best support system in the world, and it came in the form of one Naruto Bale. She felt safest when she was with him, even though she was stronger than him. It was his determination to protect his home that attracted Sarah Fall to him. While he was a low-class devil, Naruto was a great leader, helping her handle a few of legions under her command. And they both understood each other, understanding that they came from 2 different backgrounds and had to adapt to one another in order for their relationship to work. Sarah Fall's favorite dates she has with Naruto is meeting him at his cabin, laying with him in the bed, and just talking about random things. It was something that she never had before, and it made her feel special. Of course, she would interrupt their conversation with a couple of kisses now and then. Sarah Fall had a small break from the war, and she used it to visit back home. Entering the dining hall, Sarah Fall walked into the scene of her parents, Lord and Lady Citri, along with Lord Bale and Miss La Bale sitting at the dinner table. "Sarah Fall. It's good to see you," Lord Citri said as he stood from his seat. "Please sit with us." Hello." Sarah Fall gave an awkward wave to the Bales, who waved back at her. She never met the Bales before, and she felt a little nervous because they were the leaders of the clan her boyfriend came from. After taking a seat in front of Lord Bale, Lord Citri continued, "Sarah Fall, we have heard of all of the marvelous accomplishments that you've done at war in the name of Citri. You are really made me, your mother, and the whole clan proud." "Lord Citri is correct," stated Lord Beale as he took a quick sip on wine. "I've also heard of the accomplishments you have done. Very impressive." "Thank you," said Sarah Fall with a light smile, "but I can't take all of the credit. My troops have proven their loyalty and strength when it is needed. While this war may last a long time, I know that the anti-Satan faction will win in the end." "Agreed," said Lord Beale, "and while I am impressed of your efforts on the battlefield, there is a certain reason why I'm here." The atmosphere in the room went from calm to serious as Sarah Fall stared at the man in front of her. Just by that comment, she knew what he was talking about. It wasn't a secret that she was seeing Naruto, and it's become a popular topic among the devils in war. A high-class devil like Sarah Fall, actually dating a low-ranking warrior like Naruto? While Naruto has proved his worth on the battlefield, people weren't used to seeing 2 devils with ranks as different as the sun and moon actually dating. "And your reason?" She knew she shouldn't have said it like that, but Sarah Fall would defend Naruto with all her might. "Sarah Fall. How disrespectful!" her mother exclaimed. "Apologize to Lord Bale at once." Lord Bale held up his hand to Lady Citri. "There isn't a need for that. This is a touchy topic," he said. He took another sip of wine before continuing, "I've heard that you've been dating one of my clansmen." "Yes, you are correct," she answered with sophistication. "Naruto Bale, if I'm right?" "Correct again." "Naruto Bale, the low-class devil." "That is where there is a problem," he stated. "What does that have to do with anything?" Sarah Fall's usually happy face was slowly turning sour as the conversation continued. "Well, dear," interrupted Lord Citri, "it isn't really befitting for a devil of your stature seeing such low-ranking devil. It could tarnish your image among high-class devils." On the outside, Sarah Fall looked displeased as she heard the adults talk, but on the inside, she was seething. Why does it matter that Naruto's a low-class devil? He's stronger than a lot of high-class youth right now. This doesn't make any sense, she shouted in her head. "Naruto will be a high-class devil after this war," Sarah Fall stated bravely, causing some eyebrow to rise in curiosity. "He has proven himself on the battlefield countless times as stronger than even some of the youth of my generation. He has helped me command my legions and will continue to do amazing things. So I don't understand why we are having this conversation," she stated as calmly as possible. "You are correct. He is strong, especially for a low-class devil," Lord Bale said. "However, no matter his strength, or if he will be promoted after the war, Naruto Bale is a low-class devil. He shouldn't be with you and you need to cut this relationship now." "Who are you to tell me who to love and who not to love?" Sarah Fall shouted at the man that was indifferent about her outburst. "Naruto will probably be one of the strongest Bales if he continues to grow. Why are you so burnt out about class?" "Sarah Fall," shouted her father. "Calm down, now." After taking a few quick breaths to calm herself, Lord Citri continued, "Naruto is an excellent solider, nobody here is doubting that. However, He doesn't have the qualifications to take your hand in marriage. As the future leader to the Citri clan, you must think about any relationship you have with anyone and must judge how it will affect the clan. Naruto comes from a low-class family, has a despicable education based off his files, and will probably die during this war. The surface of the dinner table was suddenly covered in ice. Thankfully, nobody had their hands on the table, or the ice would have traveled up their arms as well. Seraph's hair hid her face as she took in what her father said. These people didn't know anything about Naruto. Who are they to judge him? You all don't understand him. He's fought so much and makes me so happy. Why doesn't anyone understand that? She muttered. Lady Citri, making a brave move, scooted closer to her daughter and placed a hand on her shoulder. Seraph, you are a strong devil and I am proud of you. I've told you when you were young that you could do and be anything you wanted to. But Naruto could make it harder for you when you become clan leader. Seraph revealed her teary-eyed face to her mother, showing that she was listening. What do you mean? She asked. Lady Citri took in a small breath of air before continuing. The other clan heads have been talking. They've noticed your relationship with the boy. It isn't a good image to them. They believe that the Citri could be weak because its heir is in relations with a low-class devil. When you become clan head, you could be discriminated against because of your relationship with him. It will make it harder for you to run the clan. But mother, I love him. Seraph countered. No, dear. Lady Citri said with a smile. You like him, but you will get over it after the war is over and everything calms down. You'll understand later. Seraph, unable to hold back her tears, hugged mother and cried in her chest. Lady Citri whispered soft words in her ear, trying to comfort her daughter as much as possible. Lady Citri turned to the two Bales in the room. Lord and Lady Bale, I have a proposition for you, hummed a curious Lord Bale as he rose an eyebrow. What is it that you have in mind? Will it be acceptable for Seraph to date Naruto Bale for the remainder of the war? She asked. While I do agree with splitting the two up, but if we do it during a war, it could mess with Seraph's mental state, and it may show during the war with wrongful decision-making. Lord and Lady Beale took a moment to discuss the proposition between them before coming to agreement. We agree with the proposition. Until the end of the war, they may continue to be in relations, said Lady Beale, speaking for the first time. The two Beales got up from their chairs and shook hands with Lord Citri. Lady Citri was still holding a crying Seraph, so she only nodded to them as they got ready to leave. Seraph Citri, if I may? Said Lady Beale. Seraph wiped her face with her sleeve before facing Misla. We are not doing this to harm you. The Beales and Citris have a good alliance as of now. We don't want that to ruin because of this. We Beales are looking out for you because we know that you'll become a great leader of Citri. We don't want you to be distracted from that goal because of one of our own. Do you understand? She asked. After a few sniffles, Seraph wiped her face and answered, I understand. Good, said Lord Beale. I hope you all have a good day. And with that, the two Beales exited the mansion. Seraph released herself from her mother, and then ran out of the room. Seraph, her father shouted to her, let her have her time, dear, to sort this all out, said Lady Citri as she watched her daughter disappear around the corner. Time skip. After the Devil's Civil War. After years of fighting, the anti-Satan faction finally won the war. The fighting had become unbearable, but one side had to win and enforces their belief on how the underworld should be run. After countless battles against the Onkin, the Civil War was won after one of the old Satan faction's leaders suddenly disappeared. The heroes of the Civil War, Serzex Gremory, Falbium Glaciolabelas, Seraph Citri, and Ajuka Astaroth, were in talks of replacing the previous Great Four Satans. The four devils showed their outstanding power and strategic skill during the war and became instantly famous throughout the underworld. In honor of the four heroes, some of the high-ranking devils planned a party in their honor, which was happening tonight. Seraph was standing in front of her mirror, making sure that her dress was okay. She was wearing an all-white, strapless dress with layers of frills starting at her waist. She had her hair tied up in her trademark pigtails with pink ribbon. Overall, she looked stunning and would be an amazing date for any male devil in the underworld. Seraph turned her head after hearing a quick couple of knocks at her door. After allowing them entrance, Naruto stepped into her room dressed up as well. Wearing a simple all-black suit with a white tie, handkerchief, belt, and shoes, a well-dressed Naruto walked up to his girlfriend and date for the night. You look absolutely amazing, Naruto said as he bent down a little and kissed her cheek. She giggled a little and hugged her date. Don't talk to any other girls tonight. You look too handsome, she muttered as she talked into his chest. She was trying to hide her blush from him because she did look handsome to her. Very handsome indeed. Naruto chuckled a little and laid his chin onto her head. You've been so clingy lately. I don't know what's gotten into you. Seraph twitched a little but he didn't notice. You know I only have eyes for you. You shouldn't feel threatened. I know, she muttered again as turned her head a little to rest her cheek on his chest. But I know that now that we won the war, things will change. Naruto raised an eyebrow at that. Something seemed the matter with Seraph, but he didn't want to put any more pressure on her than she has already. Tonight will be a big night for her, and he couldn't be filling her head with anything other than encouragement. Meanwhile, in Serafal's mind, she was worry-stricken. She didn't have much longer with Naruto, and she was going to have to break up with him soon. She didn't want to, but Serafal's duty to her clan had to come first. You won't have to worry about me anyway. I don't even want to go in the first place, so I don't plan on doing a lot of talking, said Naruto. Serafal pulled her body back some to look Naruto in the eye. Why not? I don't think a lot of devils like me, said Naruto. Especially the high-class devils. They see me as an annoyance because I'm with you. They don't think I'm good enough for you. Well, they're crazy, Serafal said as she went back to her mirror to check her dress again. They don't even know you. I think you're taking this too seriously. I don't know Sarah, he muttered as sat down in on her bed. I've been getting some bad vibes from some of my clansmen these last few months. I think they may try something. Damn it, Naruto. You're too smart for your own good, thought Serafal as she bit her bottom lip. Taking a deep breath, she continued, What do you mean? I don't know. Maybe I'm just taking this to the extreme, but the looks they give me. Serafal really started to worry now. They were planning something, she just knew it. Naruto had good instinct, something he's relied on during the war to get out of certain situations, and it hasn't failed him yet. She needed to take his mind of things. I don't like talking about this, she said as she walked over to him. Taking his arms, she pulled him out of the bed and next to her. Let's enjoy our date. We haven't had one in a long time. Naruto smiled at her and gave her a quick kiss. Yeah, we haven't. I'm taking things too far. Plus, today is all about you, right? We should celebrate your success. The two shared a few more words, made sure that they had everything, and Elle then headed off to the party. Time skip. Phoenix Clan event facility. The party has been going on for an hour without a hitch. Everyone who was anyone showed up to celebrate the victory of the anti-Satan faction. Glasses of champagne and wine were filled as maids and butlers served the mass amount of devils in the party room. Classical music filled the air and conversations between devils entertained everyone. Serafal and Naruto were currently sitting at a table with Lady and Lord Citri. All of the talking with the other devils tired them out, and they want a break. The group was quietly talking among themselves to pass the time. Naruto, can you get me something to drink? Asked Serafal while passing him her glass. No problem, he said as he picked up her glass and headed to one of the servers. After tracking one down and replacing his empty glasses with filled ones, he slowly made his way back over to Serafal and her parents. An incoming devil bumped into Naruto, causing him to spill his drinks. Thanks to his lightning-quick reflexes, he moved out of the spilling liquid's path of staining. Low-class scum, said the passing-by devil and kept moving. Holding back a growl, Naruto went back to the same server to replace his glasses again. On his way back this time, he met a devil but with positive intentions. Naruto, said Sirzex with a smile. It's good to see you. Good to see you too, Sirzex. I'm glad that the war didn't scar you up too bad. Naruto replied with a smirk. It didn't scar me bad, but it tired me out, he said with a chuckle. Let me introduce you to my date for the night. It was then that Naruto noticed the gray/silver-haired beauty standing slightly behind Sirzex. This is Graphia Lucifuge. She joined our side of the battle midway through the war, and she's been a big help for me. Good evening, said Naruto with a slightly bow in which she returned with a quiet curtsy. What I wanted to talk to you about was how you control your power of destruction, but this isn't the place for that. I need to find Serafal because it's time for her to give her speech, Sirzex said. I was heading over to her just now. You can follow me. With a nod, Naruto led Sirzex and Graphia over to the Citri table. I brought friends, said Naruto as he set their drinks on the table and took a seat. Sirzex, shouted Serafal as she gave him a quick hug. It must be time already? Correct. I'll lead you up to the stage, he said. Give a goodbye to Naruto and her family before walking away with Sirzex and Graphia. Taking a whiff of his wine before actually drinking his wine, Naruto finally felt comfortable in the crowd of devils. He could feel somebody staring at him, but he wasn't worried at all. He considered himself on break and wasn't going to do anything wild. Naruto, said Lord Citri, gaining the blonde's attention. I must say that your efforts during the war are impressive indeed. Thank you. While I have gained a little fame for my efforts, I just wanted to protect my home and friends. The battle was hard, but I'm glad we're the ones that came on top. Nodding his head in agreement, Lord Citri took a sip of his wine before continuing. All true. However, there is a question I wanted to ask you. Naruto looked up to the man, letting him know that he had his attention. If you had the chance of becoming a high-class devil, would you take it? No, Naruto said simply, surprising both Lord and Lady Citri. I wouldn't do that because I've noticed the impact I brought to the low-class society. People look up to me as a prodigy and feel like they can relate to me because of my low-class statues. I wouldn't change my rank, at least, not right now, because I can continue to inspire those who are just like me. Naruto took a swig of his wine before continuing. I've been offered a promotion to become a high-class devil, but it just wouldn't sit right with me. An honorable answer, said Lord Citri. I'm sure that you've heard of the evil pieces, correct? The evil piece system, recently created by Ajuka, allowed devils to have a peerage, which allows high-class devils to reincarnate other races into the Devil Society to replenish the number of devils lost during the Great War. It was really a genius idea that everyone praised Ajuka for, including Naruto. Nodding his head to Lord Citri's question, he continued, "Well, would you be a part of Seraphul's peerage if given the chance?" Ting ting ting, the sound of metal hitting glass sounded through the speakers of the hall and gaining everyone's attention. "Hello, everyone. My name is Seraphul Citri, heiress to Citri clan, and I wanted to give a speech about the effort put in this war. A lot of families were lost in this war. People we've known for all our lives sacrificed their own in order for us to gather like this today. But we are the last ones standing to taste victory." The crowd applauded in agreement with Seraphul's passionate speech. Naruto listened to his girlfriend but wanted to keep the conversation with Lord Citri going. "To answer your question," said Naruto, "I don't know if I would or wouldn't, but I'm leaning next to me not doing so. Like my last answer, I want to keep my low-class statues to keep on inspiring others in my position. I know that if I'm added to Seraphul's peerage then I would be promoted by default because a lot of people believe I should be one. So, I'll decline the offer if made," mumbled Lord Citri as he scratched his beard. Naruto's answers were quite elaborate in detail and well said. And his cause made sense. Inspiring others like him is a very honorable quest. However, it wasn't the answer he was looking for. "Naruto," he said again, "you should stop seeing my daughter, and let us live through these peaceful times for a long, long time," finished Seraphul, raising her glass in the air. The crowd applauded in approval at her speech, standing in agreement to her strong words. However, while everyone was standing with Seraphul Citri's words of hope, Naruto was standing against Lord and Lady Citri, who had a crowd of devils standing behind the two, all glaring at Naruto. "So this is their plan," he thought as he stood from his seat. He knew that someone was against him, but he didn't think that it would come from his girlfriend's parents of all people. "Naruto, please understand," said Lady Citri, feeling the tension in the atmosphere. "We really like you, but you could hold back Seraphul from gaining a position as a great Satan. Seraphul told me that you all preached equality between devils. While they didn't show it, both Citris were surprised at his statement. I know you believe that devil class has some judgment and power, but didn't you just congratulate me in my efforts in the war? So my question to you, Lady Citri and Lord Citri, is do you consider yourselves as hypocrites or do you suffer from amnesia?" The disrespect that Naruto presented was slowly angering the Citris. Yes, they knew the children liked each other, but they weren't thinking about the future. This relationship had to stop and it was going to now. "Did you know that Seraphul knew about this plan?" asked Lord Citri after sipping some off his wine. Naruto couldn't hide the shock that invaded his face. Seraphul knew of this? That would explain why she's been acting so clingy lately, he presumed. "Damn it, he telling the truth. Does that bother you?" asked Lord Citri after a few seconds of silence. He knew he hit a sensitive point, and he wanted to see how Naruto would react. So that's how he wants to play, thought Naruto. He took a look at the devils behind the Citri who were still glaring at him, and sensed their energy. "I sense Beal Citri and a few Gremory," thought Naruto as he planned out his future moves. This was a dangerous position the Citris were putting him in, but they forgot one thing. Naruto was a low-class devil prodigy. "You two have a good rest of the night," said Naruto as he bowed to the Citris. "I believe that my girlfriend has finished her speech and I need to congratulate her." The Citris were surprised as Naruto walked away from them. They planned this out and didn't think that Naruto would react this way. "Dear, what just happened?" asked Lady Citri. Lord Citri sighed and ran his hand through his hair. He had a bad feeling and felt like they just did something wrong. "I don't know what just happened." Meanwhile, Naruto was walking through the mass of devils. He was searching for a certain devil in the room, and when he sensed his energy, Naruto made a straight beeline to him. Ajuka Astaroth, creator of the evil peace system, was chatting with a lovely female devil. While Ajuka wasn't one for fame, but it did feel nice to be recognized of his efforts during the war in such an extravagant manner. He was sharing one of his war stories with the devil when he felt a tap on his shoulder. Turning his head around, he was face to face with one Naruto Beal. "Naruto," he said as he held out his hand. "It's good to see you. Everything okay with Seraphul, or are you coming to me with advice?" Naruto chuckled at his statement, and gave him a firm handshake. No. I didn't come for advice. Seraphul and I have a strong relationship. However, there is something I need from you." "Really, now?" "Well, if you ask then I shall help you with all my power. It was you that helped save my ass during the war when we were cornered by the old Satan faction that time," said Ajuka. "I'm glad you're here to help," said Naruto. "Do you remember that time when I was offered a promotion to become a high-class devil?" "Why, yes. They offered that to you a couple of times during the war, but you pasted up the opportunity. Are you reconsidering it?" asked Ajuka. "I am." Naruto took a sip of wine and then smirked. "And I need to receive my evil pieces as well." Time skip. 2 months later, outside Citri Mansion. "I had fun tonight, Seraphul. We should go back to that restaurant. The food there was great," said Naruto. "We should go back. I had a good time," Seraphul said as she hugged Naruto's arm closer to her chest. The two were just coming back from a casual date they had at a simple restaurant. They didn't want to do anything big, but just something small so they could wear their everyday clothes and also enjoy good food and each other's presence. However, the two were hiding things from each other. Sarah Fall had her situation with her family and the Beals. She should have broken up with Naruto after the war, but 2 months after, and they're still together. She tried to multiple times, but she could never finish it. Either she would freeze up and change the conversation or something around them caught Naruto's attention. Sarah Fall had horrible luck with ending her relationship with the blonde Bale. Maybe I could try to finish it tonight, she thought as they approached her front door. Naruto, on the other hand, had his own secrets. He hasn't told Sarah Fall that he knew that she was supposed to break up with him after the war. After learning that, Naruto had a growing anger towards Sarah Fall for agreeing with such a proposition. If it was him in the same position, he would have chosen her over his image. It irritated him that all of her claims of love for him came second over her position in society. However, she was there for me when I was at my lowest, thought Naruto when he remembered his parents' death. After coming back to the war with those deaths fresh on his mind, he hid how he really felt and focused on the war. But Sarah Fall, being Sarah Fall, felt something wrong with Naruto and continued to ask him what was up when he denied anything wrong. And when he finally told her that his parents died, she was there for him when he was weakest. For the first time in his life, Naruto willingly cried, but he wasn't alone while doing so. I can't just give her up after that, he thought as they turned to face each other. She was now the most important person to him than anyone in the world. Even though he has some extra things hidden from her, it was for his own protection because he's been suspect of a few things during these last few months. I love you, Naruto, Sarah Fall suddenly said. I really mean it. Naruto gave her his cheeky trademark grin. Love you too, Sarah Fall. The two gave each other a quick kiss, but before Naruto could pull back, Sarah Fall wrapped her arms behind his head and pulled him in again, mashing their lips together. Naruto was slightly surprised, but he didn't agree with it as he wrapped his arms around her waist. Kissing Sarah Fall is an experience that feels new to him every time he did it, and he hoped that he could continue to do it with her in the future. The couple pulled back from each other and had to take in a couple deep breaths to get air back in their lungs. That was a move that Sarah Fall didn't make a lot, which gave Naruto the signal that something was up. Good night, Naruto. Get home safe, she said with a kiss to his cheek. After that, she entered her house, closing the door behind her. Naruto stood there for a while before headed back down the stairs and walking home. Of course, he wasn't walking all the way home, but he heard something that was interesting. All right, Citri. Let's see what you have planned, he thought as he left the mansion. Inside the mansion, right behind the door, Sarah Fall broke down in tears. She knew that her father was planning on doing it. She could just feel it. But she had a duty to her clan that she had to keep, and Naruto had to come second. I'm so sorry, Naruto, Sarah Fall said in between her hicks as she cried her eyes out. Naruto's house. Naruto was approaching his house and he sensed many powerful devils nearby. Honestly, it made him feel uneasy because while Naruto was powerful, he knew he couldn't handle all of these high-level devils in the area. Well, looky here, said Naruto as he looked at his deceased parents' house. There were about 30 devils on his front lawn waiting for him. They were all giving a bad vibe and Naruto knew they were about to handle business. One of the devils with his or her face covered in a mask stepped up to Naruto. Follow us, he said. The group brought out their devil wings and flew off into the forest. Alright then, muttered Naruto as he too took off with the group. A short flight later, Naruto was surrounded in a clearing in the forest. He was in the middle of a pentagon with seals surrounding him. So what are we doing here? Naruto said with a smirk. He was trying to sell his facade that he wasn't worried, but he was honestly figuring out a plan to beat these jerks. Plus, one of these guys reeked of smoke and it was messing with Naruto's nose. The Citri clan doesn't agree with you seeing Sarah Fall-sama, said their supposed leader, the same devils that stepped up to him earlier. And the Bale clan doesn't like it either, because the Bale want to offer one of their high-class devils to the Citri to marry Sarah Fall, if I'm correct, interrupted Naruto. The silence of the group leader told Naruto everything he needed to hear. The Citri are fools if they think that's going to work. Naruto laughed a little, pissing off a couple of the devils present that were present. Sarah Fall will become one of the 4 great Maos, which will cut her ties and obligations with the Citri clan, inevitably. So if you think that you can solve your problems from getting rid of me, you're stupider than I thought. Regardless of what you think, we have a job to get rid of you, the masked leader said. About 10 of the 30 devils present circled around certain points of the pentagon and started to chant out a spell. What are they planning to do? This seal isn't a type of seal to deal damage, so what are they trying to do? He thought as he tried to find a way to escape. The chanting from the devils got louder and the seal glowed purple. Whatever they were trying to do, they were close to succeeding and Naruto really needed to get out now. If you haven't noticed by now, your mobility has been hindered, said the masked leader. Naruto's eyes went wide when he tried to move his legs. He looked down to see purple hands coming from the seal, holding down. Damn it! He shouted as he tried to pull himself free. Now there really wasn't a way. Time for plan B, he thought. It's a shame that Sarah Fall-sama couldn't see this, the leader said with a bit of arrogance. Her worst mistake being thrown away forever. Naruto glared at the man as he silently started to charge his energy. What do you mean by that? He demanded. We were told that you know Sarafal-sama isn't supposed to be with you. Her reluctance caused her father to pull some strings to make sure things ended. Meaning? Asked Naruto as he continued charging his magic. Meaning, the leader reached into his jacket and pulled out a small treasure box. We're going to seal you. Seal, so that's what this is, muttered Naruto. He should have known and should have prepared better. He was arrogant, believing he could get away with a few tricks and maneuvers, but his success rate was lowering in by the second. When Sarah finds out about this, she'll find me and release me, Naruto said confidently. He knew Sarafal was supposed to call it quits with him a while back, and he remembered times when she tried to but couldn't quite say it, but he knew she wouldn't agree with something like this. Oh, you must not know, said the leader with a slight chuckle. Sarafal-sama knew about this. Naruto's eyes widened as he felt his heart drop. She knew? That's impossible. She wouldn't agree to something like this. This isn't like her. You should have seen the signals, said the leader as he leaned his back on a tree. I've watched you for a couple of weeks and even I could see Sarafal-sama's reluctance and hesitation in telling you. However, you've known Sarafal-sama for years. You should have suspected that this would happen. I suspected something, muttered a defeated Naruto, but I wasn't suspect something this major. Naruto was trying his hardest to hold back his tears. Everything that he went through with Sarafal, and this is how she would end things. By sealing him up and throwing him away like trash? This is how she does him after all this time. Small droplets of tears crept from his eyes as he shook in sadness. Why would she agree to this? Because she loves her duty to the Citri clan more than she loves you, stated the masked leader plainly. I mean, it's been drilled into her head since birth that her clan comes first. You have to think, she had to have been in a physiological battle with herself in deciding which one was the most important to her, you or her duty? Well, she's not here to stop us, so you know which one she picked. Tears freely fell from his face as he let his emotions be known. It was another instance, just like his mother, when somebody chose something over him. He never did anything wrong. He was just trying to protect his home and fell in love along the way. Why did it have to be like this? The masked leader saw Naruto's tears and sighed. He walked up to the boy and put a hand on his shoulder. Listen, I don't want to really do this, unlike some of the devils here, but this is just how it goes. I had to fight my way up to become a high-class devil because I have a family. I want my daughter to live a life that I didn't get the chance to live because I was born a low-class devil, just like you. Naruto closed his eyes and tilted his head down to the ground. He didn't want to hear that bullshit. He was about to be locked for Lucifer knows how long, just for falling in love. Why not just kill me? He asked. The Beal wanted to teach you a lesson in messing with having a relationship with someone out of your class, especially someone like Sarafal-sama. The masked man waited for Naruto to say something, but after waiting a while, he sighed and started to walk out of the Pentagon. Nice to see you again, Asuma-sensei. The masked man stopped in his tracks and looked back at Naruto, who was trying to glare a hole into him. Sighing for what seemed like the 10th time, the masked leader walked away from Naruto and into the forest. Finish this up. Seal him. The chants were rising in volume and the purple pentagon was flashing. The glowing hands traveled up his body, but he didn't do anything to stop it. There was only one thing he could do, but it wouldn't free him. The chanting stopped, and the hand were now around his throat. They weren't choking him, but instead, holding him to where he couldn't even move his neck. The devils raised their arms towards the sky and then towards the small treasure box that was left open in front of Naruto. Seal! The devils shouted as the hands started to pull Naruto in. I'll be back, Naruto thought as he opened up his mouth to reveal a red ball of destruction. Red bolts of destruction shot out the ball and into 3 of the devil's heads, obliterating them to a molecular level. We lost 3 of us, shouted a devil as they tried to force Naruto into the box with all their might. We have to continue, even if the seal is weaker, shouted another. With the combined efforts of the remaining devils, Naruto was slowly pulled into the treasure box, and it was closed on top of him. This won't stop me. Those words reverberated throughout the area. The pentagon slowly faded away and one of the devils picked up the treasure box to put in hiding. Present day, Ko. I really like you. Huh? Really? Introducing Issei Hayadu, one of the biggest perverts this world has ever seen. Issei Hayadu is a perverted boy that attends Ko Academy, a school that was once an all-girls school but expanded and started to accept boys 2 years ago. With the girls outclassing the boys in numbers, it was a perfect place for a pervert like Issei to grow his perverted desires. After getting his balls crushed a little while after school by the Kendo Club, Issei sulked his way back home. However, he met a beautiful black-haired beauty on his way back home who claimed to have feelings for him. Yes. I really mean it, said the girl as she tried to hide her embarrassed face from Issei. I've seen you walk in the area a few times, and I thought you were so cool, she muttered with a blush. I can't believe it. She said that she likes me. And she's a complete babe. Issei thought to himself as he took a quick glance at the unknown girl's chest area that was covered by her school uniform. Do you want to go out sometime soon? The girl asked. Yeah. I mean I'll go, said Issei. He couldn't believe it. This girl was really asking him out on a date. The gods of perversion must have heard his prayers for a submissive girl that was sexy as she was shy. Really? The girl's face lighted up in excitement. Great. Let's meet up on Sunday. I'll meet you by the fountain in town, said the girl as she started to run away. Great, said Issei as he waved at the girl. Wait a second, I don't even know her name. Hey, what's your name? He shouted. Yuma Amano, she yelled back. See you on Sunday. She took a corner and vanished from Issei's sight. Joy filled Issei's spirit as he did a little happy dance, hoping that nobody saw what he did. I can't wait till Sunday. I need to go get ready. I need decent clothes, flowers, sniff sniff, and a shower too. Guess all that running from Kendo Club earlier made me stinky. But I have a date. He shouted to the heavens while running home. ORC Clubhouse. The once abandoned clubhouse was made into the ORC, the Occult Research Club, by Rias Gremory. Rias Gremory, a red-haired, pure-blood high-class devil, was sitting in front of chess board deciding on her next move. Rias shared this city along with another devil in the area so that they could attend school in the human world. Rias wanted to get away from her parents and Siscon brother and make an establishment here to live on her own. I assume that Issei made contact with the fallen, said Rias as she moved a chess piece on the board. Yes. Kaneko came in earlier and told me that she spotted the fallen spying on Issei while on his way home, spoke another voice. The voice that spoke was Akino Himejima, a low-class, reincarnated devil/fallen angel that is Rias, queen, in her peerage. Akino is known for her long black hair kept in a ponytail and her buxom figure, just like her best friend, Rias. As Rias' queen, she helps her manage the peerage and acts as a personal assistant to the redhead. So they are making their move, muttered Rias as she moved another piece on the board and took one of Akino's rooks. I'll have to make sure to leave one of my summoning tags on him before she does anything rash. Of course, Akino said as she moved another chess piece. Finally, something is happening in this boring town. I was really expecting more here in the human world than the underworld, but nothing exciting has happened in a while, she complained. You'll get a new peerage member to play with soon. We'll just have to make sure nothing gets in the way of that. I still think that Sona is having second thoughts on picking up on Issei-san, said Rias as she moved another piece. Another peerage member to play with? Akino laughed creepily that made Rias uncomfortable. I hope he lasts long enough. Just don't do anything to break him, physically or mentally. Checkmate, said Rias. Oh, I thought I had you for once, said Akino in fake disappointment. Well, I believe it is time for me to return home, said Rias as stood from her seat. I agree. Time for me to head back to the shrine. I'll see you both. Akino and Rias' head shot up as they felt a magical energy fly over the clubhouse. What was that? Asked Rias to no one in particular, as she opened the window and flew out, quietly followed by Akino. The two were in the air searching for the unknown presence but couldn't find anything at all. Whoever's magic that was, they were strong. It seems we have a visitor among us, Rias said as she rubbed her chin and thought. Whoever it was, they seemed strong. Maybe another recruit for you, I presume, said Akino as she gave up looking for the owner of the magic they sensed. Keep your eyes open these next couple of days, Rias told her queen. I don't want anyone getting in the way of me getting a new family member. Understood. I'll see you in the morning, Rias, said Akino as she teleported away. Rias surveyed the area for a little while longer before she, too, retired to her home to rest. Time skip, Sunday. Issei was waiting by the fountain patiently for his date to arrive. He had thought long and hard on what he was planning for the date in his head throughout the weekend and was ready to put his plan into action. Okay, first shopping, then movies, then going out to eat, and I'll end it with a nice walk through the park, Issei excitedly thought. And if I get lucky, then the night might end with my face in her épée. Issei then felt someone tapping him on his shoulder. He looked to see a woman dressed in what looked like a Halloween costume/dress that looked like it was in the shape of a bat. She reached out to hand him some type of pamphlet. Thanks, he said as he took the pamphlet. She nodded and walked off silently, waiting Issei out. Issei, is that you? Said a voice behind him. Issei turned to see Yuma looking stunning in a revealing clear top and short black skirt. Holy babe alert, hey Yuma. You look amazing, said a grinning Issei. Thanks. She smiled back at him. So, do you know what we're doing today? She said as she latched onto one of his arms, unconsciously pushing it into her breast. Oh yes. I have the whole day planned out, he exclaimed, trying to keep his cool. We're going to have a really good time today. Well, let's get to it, he said happily and pulled him into the shopping district. Time skip, that evening, park entrance. All according to Issei's plan, the duo were having a nice walk through the park as their last activity for the day. The date went well for Issei. They went shopping for clothes together. He had to keep from staring at Yuma too long in the different outfits she tried on, ate at a nice restaurant where they actually had great conversation, enjoyed 2 movies because they couldn't decide between an action movie or a chick flick, so they decided to see both. And now the two were taking a comfortable stroll through the park. So Issei said, Yuma, what do you want to be when you grow up? What I want to be? Asked Issei as he scratched his chin. Never too much thought about that. Well, do you have an interest in anything that you'd want to do? she asked. Well, I think I want to do something in a hospital, he answered. A hospital? Why's that? Yuma curiously asked. I've never told this to anyone before, so use this as proof that I trust you, he said seriously, which surprised Yuma. He was smiling all throughout their date, and he never had put such force behind his words. My mother and father, they've tried to have children before me 2 or 3 times. I think, well, my mother had miscarriages for each one of them, he said a little hesitantly. Oh my gosh. Yuma covered her mouth in shock. 2 or 3 miscarriages? She couldn't have imagined going through something like that. Yeah, when I heard that, it made me have a higher respect for life, even though I do a lot of questionable things, he said as he thought back to all of his perverted tendencies. Addiction. What type of questionable things are yo? Anyway, he exclaimed, trying to bring back the topic in hand. When my mother was pregnant with me, my father went to some shrine and prayed for me to survive, and I did. So they named Issei for honest, which is meant for my father's honest prayers for me to live. Wow. Yuma's respect for Issei's parents increased dramatically after hearing that. Your parents are very brave and noble for having faith that you'll live. Yeah. My parents are the best, he said with a smile as he thought about the people who take care of him. So anyway, when I learned about that, I thought about how cool it would be to, deliver kids, or something like that. I don't know. I've always liked those doctor shows and stuff, but I'm not a fan of the blood. Yeah, Yuma said with a giggle. She now saw Issei in a new light. Not only was he cool, but he also had an honorable dream. What about you? Asked Issei, catching her attention. What do you want to be in the future? A businesswoman? She answered quickly. I don't do a lot of things at school. I basically go to school and go home right after, so I don't have a huge social life. I enjoy being around my parents a lot more than other people, and they both work in big-time corporations here in Ko. While they aren't at the very top, they are high-ranking business people and people have a lot of respect for them where they work. Ah. So your parents are a very big influence on you. Issei summed up. Yup. They're important business people and I want that type respect one day, she said dreamily as she looked up at the evening sky. Said Issei, if we accomplish our plans and get married, we'll be rich. Mama married? The shocked Yuma couldn't keep her surprise hidden as she mumbled over her words. Issei felt like hitting himself over in the head for saying something so stupid. No. Wait, I didn't mean. No, it's alright, she said while blushing up a storm. At least you're honest. The walk to the park fountain was slightly awkward, but the two managed to pick up conversation with a different topic. Nearing the fountain, Yuma ran in front of Issei. The two were now face to face, and the blushing Yuma seemed like she was trying to say something. Yuma? Everything okay? He asked. I really had a good time today, Issei, she said. Oh yeah? Me too, he said with a smile. The two stared at each other for a while, but Yuma took the initiative and closed into Issei's lips. It was a quick kiss, but Issei enjoyed it thoroughly. The feeling of his lips tingling from Yuma's action was something he would never forget. Yuma pulled back and tried to hide her blushing face away from Issei, who was also blushing up a storm, by using her hair. So I'll see you sometime this week? She muttered quietly. Yeah, we should go out sometime soon, he said. Yuma flashed him another one of her smiles that made his heart soar. I'll see you soon then, she said with a wave as she ran down the road, headed back home. Bye, he said with a wave as he watched her leave. God, she's amazing, he thought. I hope this lasts for a while. Maybe that marriage thing, maybe it might happen one day. So imagine his surprise when Issei saw some type of pink spear impale his girlfriend right through the chest, her blood splattering on the pavement. You Yuma! He shouted as he ran to his girlfriend that slumped on the ground. He slid on the ground and checked to see if she was okay, which, apparently, she wasn't if the blood coming from the giant hole in her body had to say otherwise. Sorry kid, but I couldn't have any witnesses, said a voice in the sky. Issei looked up to see a black-haired woman with black wings floating in the air. Only wearing a black strap over her large breast, a thong-like piece held together by her hips with 3 straps, a shoulder guard with spikes protruding from it, black thigh-high boots, and was holding an imposing pink spear that looked like an exact copy of the one she threw at Yuma. And one thing that Issei couldn't miss, she looked like an older, more mature version of Yuma. Well, what do you know, said the lady with a deep, but melodic voice. I guess it is true. Everyone has an exact, look-alike twin somewhere in the world, she muttered as she looked at the body of Yuma. Tears flooded Issei's eyes as he looked up at the women in anger. Who are you? He shouted, and why did you do this? What has she ever done to you? Nothing, she said as she checked her nails, not caring that a girl was quickly dying from blood loss. Like I said, I can't have any witnesses. She was just in the wrong place at the wrong time. Witnesses for what? He yelled again. Well, the Dark Angel laughed. For when I kill you, of course. Issei's heart pumped faster and faster in fear after hearing what she said. She wanted to kill him? What did he do to her? He doesn't even know this lady. It's not your fault that you're about to die, she said as she threw her pink spear at Issei. Blame God for cursing you with the sacred gear. Pain filled Issei's body as he looked down to see a pink spear in his chest, similarly like there was one in Yuma's chest. He fell back, lying right next to Yuma, who was long dead. He cried tears as he slowly felt his life slip away. "Oh well," said the fallen angel, Rainier. "That was fun for like 5 seconds." And with that, she flew away. Issei stared at the red liquid of life that was spewing from him like a flood. Damn it, I can't move, I'm really going to die," he thought in sadness. "I'm so sorry, Yuma. Sorry that I couldn't protect you." He could hardly feel the pain anymore as his eyes were slowly closing. His last sight would be the red ground that was painted with his and Yuma's blood. This blood, the color just like her hair, I wish I could see it one last time. With those being his final thoughts, Issei Hayato was dead. Suddenly, a Gremry summoning circle appeared near Issei's body. The pamphlet in his pocket was growing in his pocket as if it was reacting to the magic circle. Coming from the summoning circle was the devil that Issei was thinking about, Rias Gremry. The summoning circle dissipated and Rias' feet landed on the ground. She inspected the crime scene in front of her, but she knew what happened here not too long ago. "I was expecting one body, but two? This is an old twist of events," Rias muttered to herself. "Nevertheless, I'll get what I came for." She reached out to Issei, but then she felt a magical presence approaching fast. Using her high intellect, Rias summoned her familiar to go and get her peerage. She felt a fight was going to occur here. A flying person landed harshly on the ground, cracking the earth under them. "It seems I've arrived a little late," the voice, which sounded like it was male, said to himself. The unfamiliar boy stood to his full height, revealing himself to Rias. The boy, who was the same height as Rias at 5 feet 8 inches, the boy was wearing a full-body green jumpsuit with orange leg warmers and blue tennis shoes. He had a bowl-cut hairstyle, and the thickest eyebrows that Rias has ever seen in her 18 years of life. "Who are you?" she asked, but sounded like she demanded him to answer. "Just a devil doing a little recruitment work for my master," said the boy as he suddenly started to do jumping jacks, weirding out Rias in the process. "And if I fail, I'll do 5 million jumping jacks in 30 minutes as punishment." "Why are you doing jumping jacks now?" she asked with a hand on her hip. "I'm warming up," the boy said as he moved on to toe touches. "We are about to do battle, right?" Rias tensed up a little and prepared her magic. "We don't have to do battle. I was here first, so shouldn't I be the one to revive the boy?" she asked with a dangerous tone. "Be that you were here first, and I would usually allow such a thing, I can't allow that. My master has expressed interest in Issei Hayato, and has given me orders to recruit him. As long as I have strength, I shall carry out my master's needs." "A shame," said Rias as a red aura covered her body. "I don't want to hurt you, but I will if you won't let me receive my prize." The mysterious green assailant smirked as he stepped into a fighting position. "You will not defeat me." Rias Gremry, pure-blooded devil, king, versus. "Name, race, rank? Before we do battle," Rias said, "can I at least know the name of my opponent?" "Oh, forgive me, but I cannot give out my real name freely," said the boy in green. "But you can call me the beautiful green wild beast," he exclaimed in excitement. Oh, Rias didn't know how to reply to that. "I hope this ends soon. This might be the weirdest battle I'll ever have." Update: Rias Gremry, pure-blooded devil, king, versus. Nickname: the beautiful green wild beast. Race, rank, ladies first. The green beast said. Taking the initiate, Rias summoned her pod and blasted it towards her opponent. The beast waited for the destructive aura to reach him, and when it did, he simply slapped it away with his hand. "What?" she shouted in her mind. He blocked it. "So this is the power of Baal you inherited from your mama," the beast said. "Well, you made your move. Now it's my turn." The beast disappeared in a burst of speed, a speed that Rias couldn't track at all. A green blur appeared in front of her, but she couldn't react in time as she felt a punch to her gut. "Ah!" she screamed as her body flew into a well-placed tree. Her body slumped down to the ground and she entered a coughing fit. Weren't you supposed to block that?" the beast asked curiously. "You are Rias Gremry, right? Damn it, that speed was incredible," she thought as she slowly stood from the ground while holding her stomach. A small stream of blood leaked from her mouth. "He hits like he's a rook, but he's as fast as Kiba, a knight." The green beast tilted his head in curiosity. "Are you sure you want to fight? You don't seem so strong to me." "Melee isn't my strong suit," she thought as she looked up to the skies. The barrier that keeps humans away that the fallen angel set up should still be active. Rias grew her devil wings from her back and flew into the skies. Now high in the sky, she noticed that the beast didn't follow her up. Rather, he was looking up to her in curiosity again. "Do you plan on running away?" he asked. "Fuck you!" she shouted as she shot out multiple balls of destruction down on the beast. Acting quickly, the beast dodged left and right, taking the scenery to his advantage and letting some of the trees take the hits for him. After the shots ceased, the beast flew into the air with devil wings along with Rias, only to find out that he was the only one in the sky. "Wah!" he said to himself. "Die," muttered Rias as she shot her power of destruction from underneath the beast. She had snuck back down into the tree line and waited for him to expose himself. She had to suppress her magic in order for him not to find out, and it seemed like it worked. The beast heard something from underneath him and was shocked to see a large red blast of destruction right beneath him. Sensing the danger, the beast made a defense shield around him, blocking the strike. "Damn!" muttered Rias, noticing that she was using a lot of profanity. She had to calm down if she wanted to win. This devil was going to be a challenge. Recall his shield. Rias noticed that the devil seemed to be breathing a little heavier. What's going on? All he did was make a shield. Surely, it probably took a lot of magic to hold up from my attack, but to be breathing like that already? Maybe he has low magic reserves? A few summoning circles appeared near Issei and Yuma's body to reveal Akino along with 2 other people. Introducing Kaneko and Kiba, the last 2 members to Rias' peerage. Rias! Shouted Akino as she looked for her king and best friend. Over here, said the Gremry as she flew down to her peerage. Akino gasped at the blood that was dripping from Rias' mouth and ran up to her, followed by Kaneko and Kiba. Rias, what happened? Asked Akino in worry. Somebody is getting in the way of me reviving Issei, said Rias as she pointed up to the boy in the air. I don't know who his master is, but I know he is a devil because he has devil wings. He calls himself Beast. Just call him Beast. She shorted his unexplainable nickname down to Beast because she would never call him by his nickname. He has great strength and amazing speed. Do not underestimate him. The Beast landed back on the ground and looked at the group of devils. So you have friends, your peerage probably. How dare you do this to Bucho? Shouted Kiba as he summoned a sword using his sacred gear and charged towards the Beast with amazing speeds. Kiba swiped at the Beast with his sword, but was surprised when he blocked it with his wrist. The Beast a quick jab at Kiba, but he dodged quickly by slightly moving to the right. Kiba grabbed his outstretched hand and repositioned his sword to swipe under his arm, but the Beast kicked Kiba's unprotected stomach, forcing him to release his hold on him as he flew back. Kiba! Shouted Rias. Let's go, Kaneko! Said Akino as electricity charged around her body. No! Shouted Rias to her peerage. Remember why we are here. Akino, I need you to take Issei with you and use your magic to heal his body. If he is injured for too long, then his soul will leave his body, and all this fighting will be for naught. Kaneko, me, you, and Kiba will stay and hold him off. Be careful, rushing in without a plan and you'll be injured like Kiba, ordered Rias. Nodding to her plan, Akino went and picked up Issei's bleeding body. What about this girl? She is an innocent human caught up in supernatural mess. I sense no power coming from her at all. Let her die in peace. Nodding once more, Akino summoned a teleportation seal to leave with their new member. I can't allow that to happen, said the Beast as he appeared in front of a surprised Akino. He was about to attack her, but was blocked by Kaneko catching his punch. Bad, she plainly said as the Beast was then hit by Rias' pod. Yes, Rias said, glad she finally made contact with the devil. Akino faded from sight, leaving Rias, Kaneko, and Kiba against the jumpsuit devil that was holding his side in pain. Team Rias, Rias King, Kaneko Rook, Kiba Knight, versus nickname, the beautiful wild green beast, race, devil, rank, that hurt, said the Beast as the remains of a small magic shield he used to block some of Rias' pod disappeared. A flame lit in his eyes as he shouted, as punishment for me lowering my guard during time of battle, after this match I shall do 10 million squats. He yelled. What is wrong with him? Kiba said as he tightened his grip on his sword. I don't know, but he is strong. I noticed that he must not have a large magical reserve because he was breathing at a different rate when he blocked my attack earlier. Let's force him to use more magic to tire him out, said Rias as she stood next to her peerage members. My sword bounced off his arm like it was nothing. I don't know how he did it, muttered Kiba. The seals my master gave me allowed that to happen, said the Beast as he pointed to his bandages that covered most of his upper arm and some parts of his hand. Sure enough, there was a seal on the bandages which probably hardened them for him to block swords. Who are you? Rias asked again. Are you a pure-blooded devil, or are you a reincarnated devil? Reincarnated devil, he answered. My master saved me 2 years ago and I'm a better fighter, he said while pumping up his fist. Why does your master want Issei? Asked Kiba. I dunno. He told me to go and recruit him and I followed orders. However, I couldn't find him because his magic is weak, kinda like mine. I knew I had him when I felt a fallen angel in the area, but I was too late to do anything. Now all I need to do is beat you all and then go find Issei again. My master will be disappointed if I don't bring him with me. Who is your master? Asked Rias. I can't tell you. The only thing that matters now is this battle, he said as he got into his fighting stance. Rias and her 2 peerage members also got into their battle stances, ready for anything he threw them. It was quiet for a while, but then the Beast spoke. Let this be an honorable battle, and then disappeared in pure speed. Kiba met him halfway as sword and fist clashed. Lee threw a double jab at Kiba, who dodged them easily and swiped at him with his sword. The Beast backstepped the swipe kicked at Kiba, but his leg was caught by Kaneko. He said. Kaneko swung him around before throwing him into a tree, in which he broke through and smashed into another one. Hopefully this hits him, said Rias as she sent a blast of pod in the direction he landed. Did that get him? Asked Kaneko as the 2 stood by Rias. Rias sensed a magical presence to the side of them. Kaneko was already on it as she caught the Beast rushing to them. The two caught each other's fist and were now having a power struggle. The ground cracked under the pressure. "You're strong," the beast said. "Ditto. Hold him still, Kaneko," shouted Kiba as he appeared beside them. He sent an overhead strike down on the beast, but he pushed himself and Kaneko forward to dodge it. Kaneko raised her knee to hit him in the stomach, but he blocked it by using the bottom of his foot to stop her assault. The beast bent his body back as Kiba tried to take his head, the sword slash barely missing Kaneko's chin. "This guy is an athletic monster," thought Kiba as he watched as the beast was holding Kaneko and himself off while on one leg. "Kiba! Kaneko!" shouted Rias as she prepared another blast of her pod. Understanding what she wanted, Kaneko let go of the beast, causing him to lose balance as he was depending on her pressure to hold him up. Kiba used this opportunity to hit the beast on the side of his head with the butt of his sword, disorienting him. The two jumped away from the beast as he was hit with yet another magical blast from Rias, in which he had to spend more magic to lessen the damage by using a shield. "Gah!" he said as he crashed on his back. He was really starting to tire out now that he was running low on magic. "That's it. No more shields. Good job, you two," said an out-of-breath Rias. "Hopefully that will hold him down." "I don't know, Bucho. This guy is tough. He can handle a lot of pressure. I'm starting to believe that he is a rook," stated Kiba. "I also agree," said Kaneko as the group watched the beast walk from the tree line. "Taking hit after hit like this must mean he is a rook." "You are correct," said the beast while holding his shoulder. "My name is Lee. You all are good enough to know that. You've figured out a lot about me already because of some of my slip-ups. I'm still considered a rookie." "Well then, Lee," said Rias as she crossed her arms underneath her breast, "I have a question. Are you an enemy to us?" "An enemy?" said a surprised Lee. No. I'm not an enemy. I'm simply a recruiter. If we were to meet under different circumstances, I'd probably invite you to the gym for a session of weightlifting and fat burning," he exclaimed. Team Rias had a dumbfounded expression on their face as they looked at the thick-eyebrow man. "Oh, how nice," muttered Rias. "However, I came here to accomplish a job for the man that saved me and I won't disappoint him." Lee yelled that he got back into his fighting stance, making Team Rias do the same. "This time I'll show you my youth." "Youth?" Kaneko wondered what he meant by that. "You first," Lee said to no one in particular, as he disappeared from sight. Kiba, Rias, or Kaneko didn't even register Lee appearing in front of Kaneko and kicking her in her midsection, blasting her away from the group and somewhere in the forest. "Kaneko!" shouted Rias. Yumon Rias was about to send another blast to Lee, but he caught Rias' hands and slowly applied pressure. "Aha!" she screamed out as she felt her bones creak from Lee's strength. "Bucho!" yelled Kiba as he summoned dual swords and slashed at Lee. Lee dodged one of Kiba's swords, caught the other and broke it, and used the broken edge to stab Kiba in his thigh. "Damn it!" Kiba lost his cool as he jumped away from the two. He landed on his feet but fell to one knee as the pain coursing through his leg was too great for him to handle. "Huff, huff, huff, you guys are giving me a workout. I shouldn't have done all those exercises before coming here," muttered Lee as he released Ria's hands. "You mean you came here tired?" shouted Rias as she tried to ignore the pain in her hands. "Yeah. But I had to do my daily 100,000 pushes UPS," stated Lee. There was some rustling come from the bushes near them and Kaneko, with some of her clothes shredded, charged at Lee with anger in her eyes. The two clashed once again as the two rooks moved the fight away from the injured Rias and Kiba. "Kiba, are you alright?" she asked her loyal knight as she walked over to him. No, I'm not. I won't be able to walk properly for a while. Not until I'm healed first." Kiba as he slowly stood up on both feet, wincing from the pain from the sword edge that was still lodged in his thigh. "Do you want to take it out now?" she asked. He nodded. He wouldn't be able to fight properly with the broken sword lodged in him. Nodding, she slowly took the sword out of him. She winced when she heard him hiss in pain. She couldn't understand the pain he was going through and was glad she wasn't. But she was proud that her knight was still standing, showing that he was strong and could handle pain well. Kiba took off his shirt to use as a bandage as he wrapped it around his leg. He put his arm around Ria's shoulder as the two slowly walked to where Lee and Kaneko were having their battle. The two rooks were battling it out, but Lee was slowly winning. With a quick jab, Kaneko feinted and switched with a kick which caught Lee's chin. Ignoring the pain, he caught Kaneko's leg and bent his body all the way back, slamming her into the ground behind him. Gaining his balance again, he turned to see Kaneko already up and in throwing a fist to his face, which hit its target as Lee spit up blood and was rocked back. Kaneko took advantage and low-kicked his feet. Catching both, Lee fell on his back in pain. "Ugh!" groaned Lee as he heard some weird sound. He looked up to see a huge tree headed his way. "You've got to be kidding me." He jumped up and punched the approaching tree, which couldn't handle the pressure as it was utterly destroyed and turned into splinters. Breaking through the tree was a success, but on the other side of the broken tree was Kaneko with a park bench. "Nanny?" Bam! Kaneko destroyed the park bench as she hammered Lee back into the ground. That had to have done something to him, she thought as she was taking deep breaths and had her hands on her knees. This was the hardest fight she's ever fought, and it was against an immortal gym freak. Ugh, that hurt, said Lee. Kaneko couldn't hid her shock or close her mouth as she watched Lee get back up from the attack. This boy just wouldn't sit down. When will you give up? She said. When I run out of energy, or course. He said like it was the simplest thing in the world. While I do count you as an honorable enemy, it isn't honorable to use outside weapon in a fight. You are too much for me to handle by myself. I need to use my surroundings to my advantage. Kaneko said quietly. Understandable. But I feel this battle coming to a close. I've been here for too long. I need to finish this up. The two charged at each other again, putting all of their strength into their next hit. Lee smiled as his martial arts brain analyzed the situation. She's shorter than me, under 5 feet I believe, and with that, her arms are very short. She'll have to get closer if she wants to land a direct hit to any meaningful part of my body. All I need to do is increase my speed at the last second, and I'll get my hit off before she can even blink. Mentally nodding to his plan, he clenched his fist as he proceeded. Time seemed to slow down as the two were in face-to-face. Kaneko was stretching out her arm, ready to send Lee flying. Lee inwardly smirked as he saw that Kaneko's feet weren't on the ground. She jumped in order to put more force into her punch, but that was the mistake he would exploit. Slamming his feet into the ground, Lee pushed his body forward with extra velocity. Extra velocity Kaneko wasn't expected. A glob of blood forced itself out of Kaneko's mouth as she was sent flying through multiple trees. Lee regained his foot as he saw Kaneko's body crash into the ground. She wasn't moving after that. Finally, Lee muttered to himself as he took a short breath of air. That little girl really tested his limits of stamina, but he was the one to come out on top. That's the power of my youth, he yelled as he threw his hands up to the sky. You're open. A sword protruded from Lee's stomach and he could only look at it in shock. He slowly turned his head to see Kiba behind him holding the sword. Rias was slowly approaching the duo. You're still able to move? Lee said in disbelief. The love I have for my family and future family members kept me going. You're finished, Kiba said as he retracted the sword. Lee slowly fell to the ground, utterly defeated. Good job, Kiba, said Rias as she approached the duo. Kiba was taking deep breaths as he tried to remain standing. Thanks, Bucho, said Kiba. The pair looked down upon the gasping Lee as he held his hands over his injury. You are a strong opponent. I will always remember this battle, Lee, said Rias. Thank you for that, Lee said with a smile. But I was too weak. I could have finished at least both of you off. Wah! Leaf whirlwind. Lee suddenly had the energy to do a multi-spin kick with his foot scraping the ground. The wind from the move lifted Kiba and Rias off of their feet. He knows wind magic, thought Rias in surprise. Lee appeared over the fallen Kiba and used his elbow to plow into Kiba's stomach. A crater formed from the strength of the move as Kiba took the full force of the blow. Rias hit the ground and quickly conjured up her remaining magic. Lee walked over to Rias to take her out, but he was met with an outstretched hand. Checkmate. Lee couldn't defend the destructive orb that hit his midsection. The orb pushed Lee into the air with it, until finally exploding in the air. Rias sighed as she watched Lee's body land somewhere nearby her. She heard the thud that his body made when it hit the ground, but she was too tired to check where he landed. He has to be down now, she muttered as she slowly got up from the ground. She walked over to Kiba's personal hole in the ground to see him knocked out. She wasn't disappointed, however. Knights weren't known for their defense, but he lasted until the end. She was very proud of her knight. She looked to her right when she heard leaves crunching. Kaneko was walking out of the forest and back onto the park pathway with a limp in her step. Her shirt was destroyed and she was using her arm to cover her chest. Oh, Kaneko, Rias said as she hugged her. Rook. She took it upon herself to face Lee all by herself and gave her and Kiba a break. She really did have strong, loyal family members. Did you kill him? Please tell me that you killed him, Kaneko muttered into Ria's chest. I honestly don't know. Let's check, she said as the two walked over to the boy. Lee was in his on Rias-made crater, knocked out. His skin seemed burnt and his mouth was wide open. His eyes were open but the two couldn't see his pupils. He's still breathing, Kaneko said as she sent the body a glare. Yes, but we're not going to kill him. He said the only reason why he was here was to recruit Issei. We faced him and we won. He shouldn't be bothering us anytime soon. The two went back to Kiba and slowly picked him up. Kiba moaned in pain as he woke up from his Lee-induced sleep. Did we win? Kiba whispered. Yup. Your youth is amazing. The three couldn't hold back their yells in fright as they turned around to see a smiling Lee who was missing a front tooth. You're still mobile? Rias shouted in fright/amazement. Could anything put this behemoth down? Yeah. You three really put a number on my body. I feel like if I throw another punch I'm gonna faint, said Lee with a laugh as he scratched the back of his head. Why can't you just faint now? Said a dead serious Kaneko. Lee noticed the lack of clothing that Kaneko had and tore the top half of his jumpsuit and handed it to her. Here. I lady shouldn't be exposed like that, he said with a small smile. Kaneko looked at the offer for a while before taking it, saying a quiet thank you before putting it on. Well, will you be bothering us anymore? Asked Rias with a slight glare. Bothering you about what? About recruiting Issei. Oh that, said Lee. I couldn't have done that in the first place. Rias, Kaneko, Kiba's face fell as they heard what he said. What do you mean by that? Asked an irritated Kiba. Well, when I came here, Issei was already dead. I can't recruit a dead body. Dead people don't talk. My master doesn't like reviving people against their will, so I wouldn't have brought Issei to him in the first place. So why did you fight us? Asked Rias. Because it seemed like a fun thing to do, and I wasn't wrong, said Lee with a cheeky smile. Are you sure that we can't kill him? But anyway, said Lee as he did a few stretches. You all won this fight. I must show my appreciation for allowing me to test my limits. Even though I haven't been a devil for long, if I continue my training regime like how I am now, I'm sure I can become stronger. This fight has revealed some things about myself as well, said Rias with a light smile. It seems like I need to get back to training myself so I can become stronger. I've been sitting behind a desk for too long now. Well, I'm glad I'm the one who has made you come to that realization, Lee said. Will you be back in town? Asked Kiba. I'd like to train with you someday. Oh yes. We can all train together, exclaimed Lee. I'll ask my master if I can move over here to living with my new friends. Lee then picked the group up and gave them a hug. He seemed to ignore their cries of pain from his inhuman strength. I'll see you all soon, my new friends, said Lee as a magical circle appeared below him. Wait. Lee, said Rias, catching his attention. If you can't tell who your master is, can you at least tell us what clan he is from? Or what he looks like? Oh, said Lee as he put a hand to his chin, thinking for a while. To be honest, I don't even know what my master looks like or his clan. What? Even though Rias was tired, she apparently had enough energy to break Kiba and Kaneko's eardrums. That's the truth. Never saw him a day in my life. I'll be back soon, said Lee with a few waves, and he was consumed by the seal. The trio stared at the disappearing martial artist before there was a teleportation seal underneath them as well. Let's go do what we came here to do, Rias said as she disappeared with her two peerage members. Location? Lee was sitting in what seemed to be an abandoned dojo and was meditating. All was quiet until he spoke out. Master, I am here, he whispered. Lee opened up his eyes to see a floating, orange ball of aura levitating in front of him. Lee did show any surprise as some of the aura coming from the floating ball rubbed on him and faded, like the cold, visible air from an open freezer. You failed? Said a disoriented voice coming from the orange orb. Yes, master. I have failed you. Issei was already dead when I found him. I fought against Rias Gremory along with her, knight, and rook, and was defeated. Please forgive me, said Lee as he bowed to the orb. The orb didn't say anything for a while before answering. Okay, no problem, hee. Master, I am asking if I can move to Ko for now. I have become friends with the Gremory's peerage and I feel like I can become much stronger with them. The orb was quiet for a while again before answering. That's fine, make sure you eat pickles, hee. Yes, master, I shall eat the pickles. Thank you for this opportunity, said a happy Lee. I shall send another member with you, said the disoriented voice. Really? You mean I actually get to meet another peerage member? Asked a shocked Lee. Yes, BU, but watch out for this one, he's weird, hee. What do you mean, master? Asked Lee as he looked up to the glowing, orange orb. Watch out for he likes SNA snakes, hee ha. Ha 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 ha. Time skip. Monday morning, Hayate residence. Issei yawned as he woke up from the best sleep he's had in his whole life. It felt so warm in his bed and he honestly felt as if he couldn't have had a better. He sneezed a little when something tickled his nose. He fully opened his eyes to see one beautiful, sexy, red-headed, naked Rias Gremory sleeping right beside him in his bed. What the? Rias' hand clamped over Issei's mouth as he looked down in fear as Rias was awake with anger plastered over her face. Shut the hell up and go back to sleep. Okay, Ko, Hayate residence. Noon. I can't feel my arm, thought Issei as he looked at the sleeping face of Rias. She was cuddling his arm to her chest and looked perfectly comfortable. Issei would have been comfortable, and his perverted mind should have been running rampant, but the events that happened yesterday was filling his mind as he was in debate with himself. Did that really happen last night? Did Yuma really die? And who and what was that lady with black angel wings? Or was it all a dream? Why hasn't mother tried to wake me up yet? Issei said quietly as he looked towards his door. Because I set a barrier up before I came here, said the voice of Rias, scaring Issei in the process. Holy oh, you're awake, Issei said frantically with an accord smile. Rias shifted up into a sitting position, and Issei was trying his hardest not to look at her breast. Ape, I want the ape. I want it. I want it. I want it, I want. Are you okay? Asked Rias with a cute head tilt. Yeah. I'm just confused on why you are in my bed. Nice comeback, Issei. He congratulated himself for his quick thinking. Well, you were hurt yesterday and I had to come back and heal you, Rias said as she stretched her arms, so I brought you back here to heal you. Heal me? He said as he thought back to his dreams/unknown reality. If that's so, then what I think that happened actually happened. Correct. You were attacked and killed by a fallen angel yesterday, said Rias. I found your body and resurrected you into my peerage. What? What do you mean? Issei asked. I am a devil, said Rias as she summoned her devil wings. Whoa! Shouted Issei as he fell out his bed in surprise. She had devil wings. Like devil wings, Issei took in a few breaths before continuing. You mean devils that steal human souls? Yes, but devils don't resort to such measures anymore, Rias said as she crossed her legs as she sat on the edge of the bed. Okay, wait, Issei said. So you brought me back to life? Getting a nod from Rias, he continued. How did you do that? High-class devils, like myself, have the power to revive the newly fallen by using our evil pieces, said Rias as she summoned her remaining knight. Based from the game of chess, devils can resurrect those who have recently died by using our evil pieces to reviving them into our peerage. So I'm a knight? He asked. No. You are my loyal pawn, she said. A pawn? Issei dejected. So I am weak. Not true, said Rias as she crossed her arms over her chest. While pawns are usually weak, you, Issei, took up all 8 of my pieces, she said. Really? So I am actually strong? He said with hope. You have the potential to be strong, a level I hope to help you achieve soon, she explained. So that means that I'm a devil? He asked. Right again. I'll help you adapt to your new life and understand devil culture. I am a high-class devil after all, she boasted with a hair flip. So why are you naked? He asked with a blush as he stopped himself from staring at her. You had a giant hole in your chest, she said as she stood from the bed and walked to her clothes. I have a spell that allows me to heal others, but it works only with skin-to-skin contact. Maybe I should get hurt more often, he thought. So I'm fully healed? Yes. You should notice a couple of new characteristics your body has gained now that you are a devil, she said as she started to put on her clothes. Do you feel stronger? Actually, I do, he said as he gripped his hands. I feel like I can run a marathon right now. Good. Now let's go. I have much more to explain to you once we get to school, said Rias. Right, said Issei with a head nod. Then, he remembered the other person that was there with him at the park. Wait. What about Yuma? What happened to Yuma? He shouted in worry. Do you mean the other person that was at the park dead with you? Asked Rias. Yeah. She's my girlfriend. Did you revive her too? He asked with a smile. No. No, I didn't, said Rias. I didn't see a reason to. Issei's heart dropped as he heard what Rias said. Didn't have a reason to? She didn't have a reason to bring back Yuma. What does she mean? She was innocent. She didn't deserve to be killed. You seem troubled, Rias said. I am troubled. Very troubled, shouted Issei, shocking the royal redhead. Why didn't you bring back Yuma? She was dead. She was innocent. None of this should have affected her. Well, I didn't see a reason to bring her back because she didn't have any power coming from her, Rias explained. I didn't want to bring her in a world of the supernatural if she couldn't live in it. Then why did you bring me back? He yelled, shocking the redhead again. Maybe I didn't want to be brought into this mess. Why did you choose me? I'm just some pervert that nobody likes. Rias was thoroughly shocked. She didn't want to reveal her plot now, but if she lied to him, then she would lose his trust in her once he was knowledgeable in the works of devils. If I tell him the truth now then later, I'll have time to gain his trust. Even though I've already messed up, I have to take the time to earn his trust, thought Rias as she made her final decision. You have a sacred gear, Rias said. Seeing his confused face, Rias explained, sacred gears are gifts of the biblical God that has been given to humans to enact miracles on earth. Sacred gears vary from strength and rarity, but I believe that you have something special, Rias said excitedly. Oh, and Yuma didn't, yelled Issei angrily. Yuma wasn't special, so you didn't even try to bring her back, right? Rias sighed as she finished putting on her clothes. Right. I didn't sense any type of sacred gear or magical power from her at all. She was just a regular human, so she was just trash for you, huh? Said Issei as he glared at the beautiful devil in front of him. Usually, he would have been staring at Rias in lust, but now, he was glaring at her for what she didn't do. She wasn't trash. I just didn't want to bring her into a world where she would only get hurt, hollered Rias. She didn't seem to have any talents, and she was an innocent that nobody paid attention to. I left her alone because there wasn't a reason for me to bring her back. No! You didn't bring her back because you didn't have a reason to bring her back, he accused, which actually made Rias step back from the boy in fright. You're just a selfish person who only wants what's powerful so you can benefit from them. You could have asked me to join you when I was alive, but you wanted to wait until I was dead so that I didn't have a choice. You don't understand what she meant to me. Rias turned away from Issei, not want him to see her conflicted face. He didn't know what he was talking about. She had to do this. She couldn't take the chance of him saying no. He doesn't get it. I'm not selfish. I just have to do what I have to do. I'm getting married to him. I'm not a selfish person, she muttered to herself, but Issei heard her clearly. Then why didn't you bring Yuma back with me? Or even better, why did you wait for me to be dead so you could bring me back? He said with a calm anger. It was silent in the room for a while. Issei was waiting for an answer, while Rias was rummaging her mind for the right answer. Even with her smart mind, she knew the answer wouldn't be something he would like. I have my reasons, said Rias, disappointing Issei with her answer. Just know that I needed you to help me accomplish my goals, and I can help you with whatever you want to accomplish. You just need to trust me on this, and I promise you that I'll make your life as a devil worthwhile. I don't trust you, Issei simply said. You have done absolutely nothing for me to have my trust. You waited until I was dead, brought me back against my will, and just expected for me to follow your every order like a dog. That is not who I am. I didn't want it to be this way, said Rias. I didn't think that the fallen angels would have killed you and your date. If you were dead and she was still alive, I would have just wiped her memory of what happened so that she wouldn't know about the supernatural. Well, that didn't happen, Issei said angrily as he put on a shirt and some jeans. Why were they after me in the first place? I never did anything to them before. I wasn't the only one who noticed that you might have had a sacred gear. They probably didn't want you to realize and grow your power, so they decided to kill you now rather than try to fight you later on, explained Rias. Issei sighed as he ran a hand through his hair. All of this shit happens to me, and I didn't even ask for it. Are you alright? Asked the concerned Rias. If she was going to help her newly acquired pawn and gain his trust, now was the time to do so. Where is Yuma's body? He asked. Ria's heart skipped a beat as she thought about Yuma's body. We left it back in the park. We were so tired and engraved into the fight with Lee that we didn't even notice. Where is Yuma's body? Issei asked again, but by the way he said it, it was more of a demand to answer his question. We left it at the park. Issei's eye shined a dangerous red as his right burst with magical energy. Ria's eyes widened as she watched Issei's sacred gear appear onto his right arm. Twice critical, she exclaimed in her head. You left her body at the park. He hollered in anger. Yes, but we didn't mean to. You didn't mean to. How do you not mean to leave a body out in the open? There was a fight, Rias said through her fear at the anger devil. She really messed up. Who else was there that could have saved Yuma? He demanded an answer. A devil from another peerage wanted to recruit you. We fought over you. We won, but the battle left me and the rest of my peerage members exhausted. We totally forgot about Yuma, and I'm sorry. Issei stood up and walked out his room, not caring for the cries of Rias to wait as he went down the stairs. Passing the living room, Issei's mother noticed that her son was still home. Issei? What are you doing home? I thought you went to school, said Mrs. Hayadu. Not now, Mom, said Issei as he walked out the door, confusing the women even further. She would have been even more confused when Rias came down the stairs, but forgot everything completely when Rias did a quick spell on her. Rias caught up to Issei, who was walking down the street with a mean face, making passers-by weary of the boy. Issei, wait, Rias said as she made it next to the boy. What, you're going to tell me some other way that you ruined my life? He said as he kept walking. No. I can teleport you to the park, she said, which made him stop. Teleport? Devils could do that. How? He asked curiously. Just follow me. We can't do it here in public, she said as the two made their way deep into an alleyway. Rias grabbed Issei's hand while leading them away from public, but he forcefully snatched it back. Rias glared at the boy. Yeah, she did a lot of fucked up stuff, but he didn't have to be this mean to her. Forget it, muttered Rias as she felt that they were far enough away from human view. Just stay close, she said as a magical circle appeared below the two. Before we go, I'm going to need you to recall your sacred gear, Rias said as she pointed to Issei's arm. Oh? I didn't even notice this, said Issei in surprise as he analyzed his sacred gear. Sacred gears can appear in times of stress. I guess you learning about Yuma is what activated it, she explained. However, we need to keep that out of public eye. I'm glad that the people who saw that didn't say anything, probably thinking that it was some toy or something. You're going to need to calm down before we go. Issei nodded and took a couple of slow breaths. He was mad, but in order for him to fully understand everything that was going on, I just want to go home and watch porn, MILF porn specifically, he thought. Suddenly his sacred gear vanished. Rias smiled in content as she watched him recall his sacred gear. She had a really good feeling about Issei. Now, don't freak out when we suddenly appear at the park, okay? She asked. While it wasn't crazy, which Rias was secretly happy about, Issei couldn't hide his surprises when the two suddenly appeared back at the park. He looked around to see that there were many craters in the ground and trees that looked uprooted and broken, so there was definitely a fight here. She wasn't lying about that, Issei thought as he looked around. He ran over to where he thought Yuma's body, only to find out that it was gone. Where is she? He asked himself as he looked around, trying to find his dead girlfriend's body. He saw the dried up blood that they both leaked out, so she had to be somewhere nearby. Rias was looking at the spot where Yuma's body once was. I feel a residue of magic here. Somebody can hear maybe Lee? It feels like his magic. Where is she? Issei shouted as he got into Ria's face. She frowned and backed away from the angry boy. It was going to take a long time for Issei to trust her. I think that the person that we were fighting came back here, she said. I think he came back for the body. And where is this person? Asked Issei he wasn't going to let Yuma's body be tossed around in disrespect. After our battle, Lee said he would move here to Code to train with us, said Rias. If his master allows it, he should be here in the coming days. Good. Issei then turned away from Rias and walked down the park pathway. Wait. Issei, wait, she said as she ran up to him. Where are you going? I don't need to be around you right now, said Issei without looking back. I need time to think. Rias stopped running to him after she heard that. He's right. I need to give him time to think. I'll talk to him tomorrow. I'll send someone to get you during school so we can continue our conversation. I'll see you then, Rias said. Issei didn't say anything back, causing Rias to sigh. She really messed up. I'll make sure to do right by him. We'll talk tomorrow with everyone. And with that, Rias disappeared from the park. Time skip, evening. The day Issei learned that he was a devil was mentally frustrating for the boy, even though that he was serving what he considered one of the most beautiful girls that he had ever seen. He's lusted over Rias Gremory ever since he first saw her, but now he held a loath for her. Turning him into a devil because of something she wanted from him, but leaving his Yuma to die and not even knowing where her body went, that was something that even his perverted side was mad about. I bet she doesn't even understand what she did. She just thinks that she's hot shit. Well, she is hot, but that's not the point. She shouldn't be able to revive me just like that. She should have asked me when I was still alive and human. Now Yuma's gone and I can't do anything to save her, he thought sadly as he slowly approached a house. Remembering a conversation that he had with Yuma about where she lived, Issei made his way up to a house that he believed that was once Yuma's home. Taking in a deep breath, Issei knocked on the door. He had to explain to her parents why their child hasn't come back. Opening the door was a black-haired woman that looked a lot like Yuma. She looked at Issei and gave him a nice, polite smile. Hello, young man. How may I help you? Hi, I'm bringing bad news. Issei was shaking in anxiety as he prepared his speech. What's wrong? Are you alright? Asked the woman with a head tilt. A man came up behind the woman, making Issei guess that this was Yuma's father. Everything alright here? He asked as looked at the shaking Issei. Well, you see I knew your daughter Yuma, he muttered. Yuma? Asked the wife. Who is that? What do you mean who is that? Yuma is your daughter. I'm her boyfriend. Issei murmured. Well, sir, we don't have a daughter, said the husband, shocking Issei. What do you mean you don't know Yuma? She's your daughter. She's your daughter that died because of me. How can you not remember? He yelled. Son, listen. I think you have the wrong people, said the man with a frown. You should go home. Issei slowly backed away from the confused couple in fright before running away in a full sprint. What's going on? He yelled from his mind. Why don't they remember Yuma? That their child and they don't even remember. While running, Issei brought out his phone and opened up his photo app to see the pictures that he had took with Yuma during their date. He came to a halt when he kept scrolling but couldn't find their picture. What's going on? He yelled as he kept scroll. He checked his photo 5 times before giving up. The photos he had with Yuma weren't there. I don't understand, he muttered as Issei started to cry. His first girlfriend, the girl that he couldn't protect from some dark angel that had big, was gone. Yuma was gone, and it was his entire fault. Issei broke down on the sidewalk, but it was late enough whereas to nobody would be out and see him. 30 minutes later, after recovering from his major breakdown, Issei was making his way back home. It was really late out, and he didn't want to make his parents worry any more than they probably were. He still had Yuma's dead fresh on his mind, but he had slowly and painfully came to accept that she was truly gone. But thought Issei as he continued his walk, if I can find this Lee guy, then I can at least bury her body properly. Lost in his thoughts, Issei didn't notice the flying dark angel floating above him. The blue-haired fallen angel was none other than Calwarner. Wearing a maroon trench-like top and matching miniskirt, the fallen was watching her prey slowly trek his way back to his home. Seems like they resurrected him, Calwarner muttered to herself. She produced a yellow spear and aimed it at the newly reincarnated devil. Oh well, if Rainer couldn't finish the job, then I will, she shouted as she chucked the spear at Issei. If Issei wasn't lucky, he would have died again. 24 hours past his first death, but a passerby devil swooped in and saved Issei as the yellow, devil-killing spear stabbed the ground Issei was once on. What the? Shouted Issei as he tried to struggle out of the grip of whoever had him in their arms. Are you safe? Asked an unfamiliar voice. Safe from what? Shouted Issei. Whoever had Issei in their arms dropped the poor devil, causing him to groan as he hit the ground. What was that for? Didn't you want me to let you go? Asked the voice that sounded like a boy to Issei. The brown-haired boy shook his hair out of his face and looked up to see some weird-looking boy in a green jumpsuit. Yeah, but not like that, Issei said as he slowly stood back up. Who are you and why did you do that? Well, my name is Lee. Issei's eyebrows rose when he heard his name, and I just saved you from her, Lee said as he pointed up at Calwarner. Issei looked up to see the blue-haired fallen, and his eyes widened in shock. She has those wings just like that other woman. Well, said Calwarner as she crossed her arms over her breast, which caught Issei's perverted attention. Seems as if you have a guardian devil watching over you. You! shouted Issei as he pointed up to the fallen angel. Where is that other woman with those same wings that killed Yuma? He shouted. Rainier? Calawarner said with fake confusion. She's in the area. But I'm going to kill you both here to avoid problems later on. No, you're not, Issei growled as he summoned his sacred gear, surprising both Lee and Calawarner. Ah. So that's your sacred gear, Lee said with a head nod. Calawarner smacked her lips as she analyzed her situation. Fighting two devils, no matter how new the brown-haired one is, will be a disadvantage for me, especially since that one with the jumpsuit could be quick enough to dodge my attack. It seems as if another important matter has been brought to my attention. Calawarner came up with a quick excuse for her to leave. However, I get the feeling that we'll be seeing each other very soon, she said with a laugh as she flew off in the night. Don't let her get away, Issei shouted at Lee. Follow her. No, Lee said. Like she said, we'll see her soon. Issei picked Lee up by the collar, with strength that he didn't know he had, and slammed his back into a nearby tree. What did you do with Yuma's body? Tell me now, do you mean that girl that died with you? Asked Lee. After getting a short nod from Issei, Lee continued, well, I buried her. What? Asked Issei as he raised an eyebrow. Why, you actually buried her body? Well, yes. I wasn't going to leave her body out in the open like that. It's disrespectful to the dead. Lee said like it was the simplest thing in the world. But Rias said that he left the park after they defeated you, Issei said as he released Lee and backed away. He didn't seem much like a threat, but if he could beat Rias and her peerage up, then Issei knew he wouldn't stand a chance against him. Yeah, that is true. But then I remembered that I left the girl and it isn't honorable to leave a body out in the open, especially since she was an innocent, Lee said with a head nod. So, I buried her body not too far from the fight. I used her I.D to figure out her name, and made a small memorial for her with a nearby rock. Really? Issei said with astonishment. You did all that for her? For somebody you didn't even know? You don't need a reason to do the right thing. That's one thing that my master taught me, Lee said. Come walk with me. I'll lead you to her gravesite. Issei nodded and the two were off to Yuma's grave. It was quiet for a while, but Issei was the one that broke the silence. Lee. That is your name, right? Issei asked. Yes, it is. Do you need my assistance? The martial artist said. You've been reincarnated as a devil too, right? He asked. Yup. I've been a devil for 2 years now, Lee said with a smile. Do you regret becoming a devil? Asked Issei. No, Lee said without any playfulness in his voice. I'm glad that I am a devil. And I'm glad that my master was the one to reincarnate me. Why? And who is your master? Asked Issei. Lee chuckled a little before answering. While I can't identify my master for you, mainly because I hardly know myself, but in order to understand me, you'll have to listen to my story. Well, we're walking in the middle of the night to a grave site. I'm sure I can hear your devil story, said Issei. Good. I'm glad you're considerate enough to listen to my story, Lee said with a smile. Maybe by listening to my story, you'll be able to adapt to your situation better. Maybe I don't know if I like my master, however, Issei grumbled as he kicked a rock on the road. Lee smiled at Issei. My devil story takes place 2 years and a half ago in Tokyo. My sensei, at the time, was my only inspiration, the only man that truly understood me. Time skip, 2.5 years ago, Tokyo. A 16-year-old Lee was sitting in the passenger seat of a car with anticipation filled in his eyes. Lee was wearing white short-sleeved kimono shirt with a martial arts belt and black pants. He had his signature bowl-cut hairstyle, and his bandages were tightly wrapped around his fist. He was in a deep concentration as he watched the traffic in front of him, taking in every detail and storing them in his brain. He wanted to train his mind into gaining a photographic memory of his surroundings, so he can use that in his fights. Now, Lee, said a man that looked similar to the boy. I know that you're focused, but I don't want you to overthink anything right now. Calm down some and have an open mind. If your mind is too clouded, then it will affect you during the tournament today. Taking heed to his sensei's words, Lee took in a deep breath as he slouched back into the seat of the car. You're right, Guy-sensei. I need to calm down somewhat. It's just that I'm so excited. And I don't want to fail you either. Lee was a first-year student and was a protege in martial arts. He trained every day because fighting was what he was good at. He wasn't very smart in school and was one of the lowest-ranking students in his class. With the lack of parents in his life, and since the teachers gave up on trying to convince him that his studies were important, Lee spent every day in the gym, strengthening his martial arts and hoping to become even stronger than his mentor, Guy. The two were currently headed to a martial arts tournament, a tournament Lee spent the last month getting ready for. He practiced with Guy every day for at least 5 hours a day and studied up on any possible opponents by watching film Guy provided for Lee. The two were sure that Lee would win, but they prepared for any situation just in case Lee encountered any situation. I know that you'll do just great, Lee, Guy said with his trademark grin as he gave Lee thumbs up. Smiling back, Lee gave thumbs up back to his teacher, the man that was always there for him even when nobody believed in him. Lee would always have Guy's back, and Guy would always have Lee's back. It was a student-teacher relationship that was unmatched. Pulling up to the gym where the tournament was being held, The two got out of the car and Lee grabbed his duff bag with all of his equipment. Nodding towards his sensei, the two approached the gym doors, ready to win. Time skip. And he's down! Shouted the announcer. Rock Lee is down. It was the final match of the battle, and Lee made his way all the way to the top. His last opponent went by the name of Niji Hyuga, also a protege in the gentle fist fighting style, opposite to his ferocious fist style. The gentle fist style focused on hit the target's pressure points and disabling them. It took amazing speed and accuracy to learn the style, but Niji trained in the style since birth and became a master at it. Lee groaned in pain as he tried to push himself back up to fight. His arms were okay, but it was his right leg that wasn't responding. After trying to kick Niji in his midsection, Niji took the opportunity to do a couple of quick jabs to his thigh and foot. After putting his weight back down on that same foot, Lee lost his footing and fell to the ground. He gritted his teeth as he stood on his left foot, but his right leg was numb and unresponsive. Niji, who was also hurt by Lee's ferocious punches that landed, slightly smirked as he saw Lee's leg. "It seems like I've finally caught you," Niji said within breaths as he entered his fighting stance. "This was a good match, but I shall prevail." "No, you won't," Lee said with confidence as he managed to enter his own fighting stance, despite his numb right leg. "I'm putting everything I've got into this last move." He gave the pale boy a pain-ridden smirk. "You will not defeat me, then let's putting everything into this last strike," shouted Niji as he ran up to his final opponent. Time slowed down as Niji approached Lee, who was pulling his arm back for his final blow. "This is everything I've got." "Have it!" Time skip. Lee's second-place medallion swung from his neck, shining proudly as the streetlights made its sleek design shine. However, Lee wasn't happy at all. "I should have won that. I'm sorry, Guy-sensei. I've failed you," Lee muttered as tears started to fall from his eyes. Lee, listen to me," Guy said as he put a hand on his student's shoulder. "I am proud of you, no matter what. You've taken my fighting style to new levels and I know that you'll do even better than I did. You haven't failed me." Guy-sensei. Lee looked up at his sensei in awe. "The only time you would have ever failed me if you stopped being true to yourself. Only then will you ever disappoint me. Don't ever stop believing in yourself, Lee. I know that you'll crash," muttered Lee as he clamped his eyelids shut to avoid taking too much of the bright light that was shining down on him. Lee felt around and felt some type of wire attached to his arm. He could also feel that he was in some type of bed. "Where am I?" he thought to himself as he slowly adjusted to the light and opened his eyes. Surprise ran through Lee as he sat up in his hospital bed. He checked around the room to find an IV attached to his arm and both of his legs in cast. The TV was currently showing the news, and by checking the board on the wall, it was the day after his tournament. The one that he lost. "Guy-sensei!" shouted Lee as his mentor's face entered his mind. Where was he? Was he okay? Lee's heart monitor started to beat faster because of Lee's fear, and two doctors entered his room in response. "Are you okay?" asked the female doctor as she checked Lee's cast in concern. "Yeah, but what about Guy-sensei?" "Where's Guy-sensei?" Lee shouted in worry. The two doctors looked at each other, wondering who was going to deliver the young martial artist the bad news. The female doctor won the internal struggle as the male doctor sighed and rubbed his beard. "Son, settle down and I'll tell you what happened," he said. After taking a few breaths, Lee gave his full attention to the doctor. "The other guy that you came here with you two suffered a car wreck." "A wreck?" Lee asked. His memory was really blurry. The only thing he remembered was that he was riding back home with Guy after the tournament, and the rest was blank. "Yes, you two had a wreck. There was a drunk driver," the doctor said. "He was swerving in the wrong direction of traffic. He hit you two head on. It's a miracle you're alive, however the one driving the car wasn't so lucky." Lee knew he wasn't book smart, but he knew what the doctor meant. Tears filled his eyes and Lee shouted out in sadness. The man that fully believed in him, the man that he looked up to, Guy-sensei, was gone. The two doctors knelt their heads down as they listened to the boy's despair. It was hard, every day, seeing people die for stupid reasons like drunk driving. Now, the boy had lost him teacher, and there wasn't anything they can do to bring him back into the boy's life. After crying for a few minutes, Lee finally settled down. He was still hicking from his tears, but he had calmed down enough in order to hear the doctors again. "So he's really gone?" Lee asked as he wiped the tears from his eyes. "Yes, son, he's gone. Crushed to death," the male doctor said as he sat on Lee's bed. "Killed instantly?" The pressure was too much for his body to handle. "But, at least he didn't go through feel any pain," he muttered. There's something else that you need to know," the female doctor spoke up. "Your legs, they were heavily damaged from the crash. While your upper body survived with non-fatal injuries, your legs took the brunt of the accident." So I broke them?" Lee asked. "Worse. Your legs were crushed as well, and a lot of metal from the car entered your legs, causing them to get infected. You also lost a lot of blood and—" "What are you trying to say?" asked Lee as he looked at the panicked doctor. "I've got it from here," the male doctor said. "Lee, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. Your legs suffered a lot of damage, too much damage for someone as young as you. The only way to save you is if we amputate your legs." Time skip midnight. Lee couldn't sleep at all. He was wide awake. His mind was active as dark thoughts flooded it. What can I do? Thought Lee as he gripped his blanket. My legs, I can't live without them. I don't have any other talents other than martial arts. I won't be able to fight without them. I'll be nothing. I can't continue Gai-sensei's legacy. I can't accomplish my own goals. And I won't be able to do anything. Lee felt the tears flowing from his eyes as he continued to think about his life. His whole life revolved around fighting. He didn't have any parents to take care of him, so he was on his own. There wouldn't be anyone to help him because the world was a cruel place. My life, Lee muttered. My life is over. Hello? Said a voice very near to Lee. Lee looked up to see a glowing orange ball sitting in his lap. In shock, Lee used his arms to push himself away from the orb, but his back hit the end of his bed that was raised up to support him. What is going on? He yelled as he looked down at the orb in fear. No need to be afraid, I'm here to help, the orb said. You're here to help me? Lee asked. Yes, I'll let you calm down, the orb said. Lee watched the orbs glow in amazement as he slowly used his arms to move closer to it. He didn't know why, but he felt a calm power radiating from the orb, and it was a power he was attracted to. He watched as the weird aura come from the orb and disappear in a white mist. The orb also radiated heat in Lee's cold hospital room. What do you mean that you can help me? Asked Lee. I felt your distress, I can sense your legs, they're gone, they can't heal you, I can heal you and make you even better. The orb said. How? How can you do so? Lee asked in anticipation. If he could restore his body to continue his master's legacy, then he would do it, no matter the cost. I am a devil. Lee's eyes widened and a small amount of fear started to spread in his body. A devil, you mean like a soul-snatching devil? He asked. Ah. The orb laughed, scaring Lee even more. Ops, he didn't want to scare you, no, devils don't steal souls anymore. While he was still scared, a sense of relief filled Lee's body as he let out a breath he didn't know he was holding in. Ah, that's good. I can reincarnate you as half-devil. The voice said. A half-devil? Lee said. How? A small red rook piece suddenly appeared inside of the orange orb. I have the power to resurrect those into my peerage with my evil pieces. The voice said, putting an end to the breaks during its sentences. With my evil piece, you'll be reincarnated into my peerage as a rook. In a peerage, rooks have amazing physical strength and defense but lack speed. However, if you join me, I'll train you to lose that handicap and help you become a great martial artist. Any deal with the devil comes with a cost. Lee said suspiciously. What's in it for you? If you join me, the orb said, you'll be reincarnated as a half-devil. You'll lose part of your humanity, but you'll still look like a human. You'll serve me, your king, until one of us dies first. I'll help you accomplish your goals and you'll help me accomplish mine. I'll introduce you to your other peerage members, but only until you're strong enough. They will be your family and they will take care of you. Do you agree with me? Will you become a part of my family? Lee looked at the rook piece floating inside the orb with wonder. This was his chance to continue what he wanted to do, to become a great martial artist. He knew he couldn't do it as a human anymore, so why not serve this person? Why are you talking to me like this? Where is your real body? Lee asked. My real body is sealed up somewhere. The voice said. While the seal is weakened, it still holds me. I need my peerage to do a few things for me and so I can be released. If you join me, I'll continue to talk to you like this, but once I'm free, we can finally see each other. So do you agree? Lee looked at the orb once more before nodding his head. Yes, I agree. I'll become your servant if you help me. Good. Said the voice as the rook piece started to float towards Lee. Come now. Join me. Flashback end. And ever since then, I've been a loyal member of my master's peerage. Said Lee with a smile as he looked up at the stars. That's amazing. Issei uttered as he looked at Lee. And he gave you a choice to either live as a human or become a devil. Yup, Lee said. Master once told me that if he can't get to know the person or ask them if they want to become a devil, he wouldn't reincarnate them. He believes that isn't honorable at all. Gee, I wish someone would go by that same rule. Issei muttered to himself as he thought back to his red-headed master. We're here, Lee said as he stopped to walk, surprising Issei. Sure enough, in front of them was freshly dug up dirt and a rock that read Yama Amano on it. I'll leave you here to grieve privately, Lee said as he patted Issei's back. I should be moving into town soon, so keep a lookout for me. My master will deploy me and another one his peerage members here and I heard he's really strong. Maybe you can train with us one day. Yeah, maybe, Issei muttered. Lee patted his back before teleporting away, leaving Issei alone at the grave. Issei walked closer to the grave and kneeled before it. He touched the grave and his eyes started to slightly water. Yuma, I have so much to tell you starting with I'm sorry for not being able to protect you. 1 week later, after the whole Issei reincarnation fiasco, things settled back down after a while. Issei met up with Rias at her clubhouse, also getting to meet the rest of her peerage. She continued where she left off and explained devil culture and how it is handled. Of course, Issei, being a pervert, was excited to hear that he could have his own harem, but there was a voice in the back of his head saying that he wouldn't be able to protect, Flashes of Yuma's smiling face haunted his dreams, and he would usually wake up in a cold sweat. He still didn't trust Rias one bit, but he knew he was going to have to adjust to his new lifestyle. After testing out his sacred gear, it turns out that it was actually the Red Dragon Emperor's Gauntlet, one of the strongest sacred gears in existence. Rias was ecstatic that her pawn had a Longinus sacred gear and was glad that she trusted her instincts in believing that Issei was special. She ordered that her peerage members would teach Issei about devils, magic, factions, etc. She was going to earn Issei's trust and make him feel welcomed. The Occult Research Club members were all sitting in the old schoolhouse after a long day of school. It was an unusually quiet day and they didn't have to report to their clients today. So, as a bonding experience, Rias wanted everyone to meet up after school and snack on Akino's baking skills, which were superb. Munching on a chocolate chip, Issei was devouring Akino's cookies. "These things are amazing," he said as he reached for another one. "If I keep on eating these, I'll be addict to them." "What did she put in them, crack? Seems like you're enjoying yourself," Kiba said with a smile as he grabbed a napkin to clean his mouth of crumbles. "Yeah. Munch, these cookies are really good." "Thanks for these, Akino," Issei said with eyes filled with wonder. Why, thank you, Issei. I'll be sure to make you some more later on," Akino said with a giggle as she sipped her tea. "So," Ria said as she set her teacup down. "How was everyone's day?" she asked. "Good," Kaneko whispered and went back to eating a cookie. "It went well. It's nice to have a break every once in a while," Kiba said. "I'm just glad I can spend time with you all," Akino said as she stood behind Rias. "It really has been a while." "Well, this is nice," Issei muttered as he took a swig of the tea Akino made for the team. "I could get used to this." "I hope you do become comfortable to our lifestyle," Issei, Rias said to her. "Pawn, I know that you still feel a little rocky about this whole situation this past week, but I want you to understand that we really want you to truly become a part of this family." "I get it," Issei said with a small smile. "While it was hard to accept that I'm different, especially under the circumstances on how I was resurrected, but I'm come to like you all. You are genuine good people." Issei did like how his relationship with his fellow peerage members was headed, but he still had his doubts and didn't fully trust them. However, they didn't need to know that. "Good. I'm glad you see us in that light," Rias said with a smile. Everyone's attention was brought to the teleportation seal that appeared in the room. Lee, wearing his usual green jumpsuit, and his eyes were filled with excitement. "Hello, hello, hello? The beautiful green beast is back with exciting news," Lee said as he started to do jumping jacks. "Oh, Lee. It's nice to see you," Rias said with an awkward smile as she watched the boy do jumping jacks. He really was a training freak, but Rias could only wince as she thought back on the beatdown he gave her, Kaneko, and Kiba. "We should kill him now while he's not looking," Kaneko whispered to Kiba, to which he sweat dropped at. The small girls still held resentment for what he did to them at the park. Kiba couldn't lie. For Lee to only be a reincarnated devil for 2 years, he was very strong. "Hey, Lee," Issei said with a wave. After Lee opened himself up to Issei a week ago, Issei had an instant respect for Lee for that, as well as being able to fight off Rias, a high-class devil, and 2 of her peerage members. "What's the news?" "He's here," Lee said with stars in his eyes. "Another one of Master's peerage members is here. And he's amazing." "Oh, really?" Rias said with a raised eyebrow. "Well, will we be able to meet this person?" Yes. "He's coming now. I'll go get him. Don't move anywhere." And with that, Lee disappeared again. "Have you met Lee before, Issei?" asked Rias as she noticed that Issei seemed to be somewhat familiar with the beast. "Yeah, he showed me the place where he buried Yuma's body," Issei muttered as he looked down at his tea. Her death really hurt him. He felt like he wasn't strong at all and couldn't protect her from the dangers of the world. Her happy face would still haunt his dreams and he would always blame Rias for her death. Rias and Akino both frowned at the boy. They knew that Yuma's death and how Rias reincarnated him really made Issei feel like he couldn't trust them. The only thing they could do now was help him, and over time, he'll be a part of the family just like everyone else. Lee's magical circle appeared again in the middle of the room. Everyone watched in anticipation who Lee would bring with him. However, everyone was confused when Lee appeared by himself. Lee, where is your guest you said you'd bring?" Kiba asked. "Huh? I thought he was here with me. Where'd he go?" "I hope he didn't get lost," Lee said as he scratched his head. Everyone was confused for a while, but suddenly, a massive killer intent flooded the room, freezing everyone except Lee. Rias shuddered in shock as a snake appeared from behind her seat and slightly beneath her neck. Akino wanted to help her, King, but she was also frozen in fear as images her dying in ways she didn't know possible flooded her mind. Kaneko was breathing heavily as she dropped the cookie that she was holding in her hand. Her eyes widened as she thought back to her crazed sister killing her former master in cold blood. Her red, demonic eyes turned on Kaneko and she gasped and tried to shake herself out of the illusion. Kiba's mind flooded with memories being experimented on as a child to become compatible with the Excalibur while a part of the Holy Sword project. Watching images of himself and his old friends die in numerous ways, Kiba broke out in a cold sweat as he had a panic attack. And Issei, who not too long ago Wen thought the experience of his life was an illusion of Rias killing Yuma over and over. He wanted to help her, but he was held down by snakes. He cried as he tried to get free, but he could only watch as Rias laughed as she sent her power of destruction at a crying Yuma. Rias, who gained a little of her senses back, looked behind her to see a very pale man with long black hair. He had eyes and fangs like a serpent, and his tongue was extremely long. The snake that just above her breast hissed at her, flashing its fangs that were dripping with purple venom. Rias Gremory, the man said with a smooth voice as he looked at her with a creepy, malicious smile. It's nice to meet you. Lee has told me a lot about you. The redhead Gremory couldn't respond as the snake on her slowly wrapped itself around her neck, as if it wanted her to fight back. You know it's not nice to sit there and just look at me. Introduce yourself to me, he said as he snapped his fingers. The Ki that once filled the room instantly disappeared. Akino dropped to her knees and hugged herself in fright. Kiba and Kaneko were in similar position, only they were on the couch instead of the floor. Issei, however, was still frozen. Yuma's smiling face was still on his mind and he couldn't get her out of his mind. I couldn't protect her. Tears started to fill Issei's eyes. I couldn't do anything to save her. Rias finally had the strength to speak to the snake man behind her. Who are you? The pale man smirked before answering. I am Orochimaru, a pawn to my master that will serve him until the end of time. The snake around Rias' neck hissed once more before retreating into Orochimaru's sleeve. He was wearing a plain gray garb with a black shirt underneath and black pants that had bandages around his calves. He ran a finger down Rias' cheek, which made her eyes widen even more in fear now that he actually touched her. He smirked again before removing himself from behind her chair and towards Lee. Lee looked at the panicking devils and frowned at Orochimaru's antics. Orochimaru, should you really have done that? Asked the boy with a head tilt. He was also slightly scared of the snake man, but he knew that Orochimaru wouldn't do anything to permanently hurt them. Orochimaru said with a head shrug and raised hands. I just wanted to introduce myself to them. I am their new chemistry teacher, after all. Well, I guess, Lee muttered, unsure if what he did was okay. I'll be seeing you all in class, Orochimaru said with a wave and an evil chuckle as he and Lee left the building. Make sure you study, because my class won't be easy to pass. HHMM? Ko Academy, Monday, 2 days after meeting Orochimaru. Hello class. My name is Orochimaru Suki, however, you shall to refer to me as either Mr. Suki or Dr. Suki. I will be your new chemistry teacher since your old chemistry teacher suddenly died some type of poison. Nobody knows who did it. Fufufu. Orochimaru was standing in front of his new class in a black suit with a white shirt and black tie. He had a briefcase sitting on his desk. The snake man was very skilled in the field of chemistry, and was honored to take on the role as the new teacher. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to ask, Orochimaru said with a smile and a head tilt. Let it be about me or anything else. I want you all to be comfortable around me. Orochimaru's slitted eyes moved to 2 students in particular, Rias Gremory and Akino Himejima. The 2 shuddered at the snake man looking at them with mischievous eyes. He knew that they feared him and was taking advantage of that with every movement. One of the girls slowly raised her hand and Orochimaru gave her the okay to speak. I don't mean to be rude, but why is your skin so pale? A question that the whole class wanted to know. Everyone paid close attention to what their new teacher was going to say. Orochimaru smiled a little before answering. I know that it may seem weird to see someone with such pale skin, and your question wasn't rude at all since I am asked that a lot, Orochimaru said to girl. Does anyone know of the atomic bomb that hit Nagasaki some time ago? Yes, said one of the male students with glasses. The United States used 2 atomic bombs on the cities of Nagasaki and Hiroshima towards the end of World War II, which was one of the main deciding factors in Japan's surrender. Correct. Smart child, Orochimaru said. Well, this attack happened while my grandparents were still alive. I know you all are sure of the after effects from that attack, I presume? He asked. There are children today that still carry birth defects from the chemicals that entered their parents' bodies. My defect that I was born with is my pale skin. It's not contagious if you are wondering, Orochimaru said with a light chuckle. Rias raised her eye at Orochimaru's action. This wasn't the demon that they met 2 days ago. He seemed to be more light-hearted and was an actually nice person. And his backstory was also very interesting to the redhead. His family was affected by the chemicals from the bomb attack of World War II. Maybe that meant that his family wasn't from devil heritage, meaning that he was a human reincarnated as a devil at some point. Another student raised their hand and Orochimaru gave them the signal to speak. Why do you teach? Was it a dream of yours? At first it wasn't, Orochimaru said. But after learning everything that I know about the scientific world, I felt like it was my duty to pass on my knowledge to the youth of the world so that they can advance in places we, humans, haven't reached yet. The devils in the room caught how he said humans, and it made them even more suspicious of the man. 2 of the other devils in the room, Sona Citri, whose alias is Shirtorai Sona, and Tsubaki Shinri, another, king, and queen, duo in the school, made note to make sure that the man wasn't up to anything bad. I have a question, Dr. Suki, Sona said with a raised hand. Her eyes held seriousness to them as she looked him eye to eye. Where were you born? I was born in Kyoto. My parents moved there after they married, and that's where I spent most of my childhood. Sona squinted her eyes in suspicion as she inspected the grinning man. Oh, they were going to have a long talk. Now then, Orochimaru said with a clap as he faced his students. I studied up on where you previously were, and will start there today. Please open your textbooks to page 131. During the whole class, the 4 female devils kept their eyes on the dangerous man as he taught his class without a care in the world. They knew that he was aware of their stares, but he only seemed to smirk at them and carried on teaching his class, which irritated them even further. He was playing with them. Rias and Akino had informed Sona and Tsubaki what he had did to them a few days ago, and made sure to keep their guard up whenever they were around him. After an hour of teaching, the bell rang, signaling that the students were to change classes. However, before the class left, Orochimaru had an announcement. Will Rias Gremri, Shirtorai Sona, Akino Himejima, and Tsubaki Shinri please stay after the bell? There's something I'd like to say to you all. The young devils nodded but held their fear as they watched their classmates slowly file out the room, leaving them with a now smirking Orochimaru. Rias and Akino readied their magic, prompting the other two to do the same. Orochimaru sighed and spoke, calm down. I don't plan on doing anything to you, he said as he put a hand on his forehead and shook his head in disapproval. Why should we believe you? Akino asked with a glare. After what you did to us 2 days ago, do you really think that we should actually trust you? I didn't say you should trust me, Orochimaru said with a glare towards Akino, which made her shudder in fear. All I want is for you all to know that I'm not the enemy. While what I did a few days ago was too much, something I wish to apologize for, all I want you to know is that I'm not going to hurt you. However, if it is prompted that you all try to attack me, the floorboard started to creak as Orochimaru released his ki. It wasn't as strong as before, but it was enough to put fear in the young devils' hearts. He stopped his ki outage and smiled at the devils. I want to hold a meeting with all of you to discuss things further. Maybe after school? Around 4 p.m. would be great. I would like to have it in the student council room since I haven't seen it yet. The female devils looked at each other, as if having a mental conversation that Orochimaru couldn't hear. Ria sighed and turned back to the snake man. That'll be acceptable. After school at 4. We'll meet at the student council room. Great. Now you are all dismissed, Orochimaru said with a smile and a wave. Nodding at their teacher, the group slowly made their way out of his classroom and into the hallway. We need to prepare, Sona said to Rias. Agreed, the redhead said simply as they made their way down the hallway. They didn't trust the man at all, and they needed to be ready for any shady acts he may pull. After school, occult research club. Rias sat at her desk, Akino behind her, a scowl on her face, as she looked at her peerage with one member missing. Where is Issei? Rias asked, her voice holding no playfulness to it. She wanted her full peerage to be present at the meeting, and having Issei gone lowered their battle power if something were to go down during the meeting. I don't know, Bucho, Kiba said. I saw him earlier, but I don't know where he is now. Damn it, she muttered to herself as she put her hand on her forehead in stress. Now she had to make the decision on either letting Issei skip the meeting or sacrifice another peerage member in order to find the boy. If I were to send someone to find him, it would have to be either Kaneko or Kiba, she thought. However, it would seem odd and disrespectful to appear at the meeting without a full peerage. There's also the fact that Issei may do something rash during the meeting, which may put us on Orochimaru's bad side, and by what he did to us a few days ago, making me feel utterly powerless. That's something that we don't need right now. Have you come to a decision, Rias? Akino asked her best friend. Rias sighed as she looked back at Akino. We'll have to leave Issei to his own devices. This meeting is more important right now, and I need everything right. I'll have to punish him later for his absence, but for now, we'll prepare mentally to meeting that man again, she said. Everyone agreed, understanding the importance of the meeting that was going to happen in under an hour's time. However, there was one question on everyone's mind. Where was the red dragon pervert? So you're supposed to go to the church, right? Asked our perverted friend as he looked down at a blonde nun walking next to him. Asia Argento, a nun to the Roman Catholic Church, smiled at Issei as she nodded at him. After he witnessed her healing a young boy's injury and telling him that he was lost, he offered to show her to the church she desperately needed to help. Yes, she answered with a smile. I was told that there was a church here in town, but I've been looking for hours and got lost. It's understandable, Issei said as he crossed his arms behind his head. You're new in town. I'm surprised the church would allow a girl to come out here alone by herself. That's a little dangerous if you asked me. Oh, no worries, Asia reassured. I'm glad that I was deployed out here. I've wanted to visit Japan for such a long time now. Well, maybe one day I can show you around? Asked Issei. Asia gave Issei an innocent smile that made his heart flutter slightly. Sure, I'd like that. Issei gave Asia his own smile in response. The girl held an aura of happiness around her that was impossible to avoid. He was going to make sure that she got to the church safely. I couldn't protect her, I couldn't do anything to save her. Issei halted in his steps as his eyes suddenly widened in fear. Those were the same words that he thought to himself when Orochimaru filled his whole being in fear with just a glance. Asia's smiling face kinda reminded him of Yuma's her smiling beautiful face. Mr. Issei? Asia said as she looked at the boy in concern. He suddenly stopped walking and stared off in space. She hoped that he was okay. Issei heard Asia's voice, which brought him back to reality. Oh, I'm sorry, he said frantically. I just spaced off for no reason and… It's okay, Mr. Issei, Asia said with another smile, which put Issei's mind at ease, but only a little bit. Now let's get you to that church, Issei said as he put some pep in his step. Yes, Asia said as she followed the reincarnated devil down the road. Student Council Room, 4 p.m. Orochimaru stood in front of the doors of the Student Council Room with Lee right behind him. Orochimaru was back to wearing his regular garbs and thick purple rope tied around his waist, while Lee was in his usual tracksuit. Now Lee, Orochimaru said while looking back at the younger boy, I know that we haven't known each other for long, but I've come to like your presence. It's better than being alone these last couple of years and I'm glad to have met another peerage member. Likewise, Orochimaru, Lee said excitedly. While the man had his scary moments, Lee had come to respect the man after these last few days with him. Now, this meeting is very important, so I'll do most of the talking. You'll sit beside me and make sure to conduct yourself accordingly, alright? Orochimaru asked with a genuine smile. Yes, sir. Lee gave the snake man a thumbs up, something Orochimaru gained accustomed to over the last couple of days. He nodded back at Lee before pushing the doors open. The student council room looked similar to the occult research club, however, Sona had the couches in the room set in a triangular position. Sona, sipping some of the tea her, queen, prepared earlier, was sitting on a couch by herself with her peerage behind her. Ria sat similar to Sona, her peerage waiting patiently for the meeting to start. Orochimaru and Lee approached the couch that was facing both Rias and Sona and sat down. Orochimaru crossed one leg over the other as he sat down, while Lee just sank into the couch without any pleasantries. Tsubaki, may you please fetch Orochimaru and Lee some tea for them to enjoy during this meeting? Asked Sona. Tsubaki nodded her hand as she rolled a small cart next to the two male devils and handed them 2 teacups. Thank you very much, Lee said with a smile, while Orochimaru didn't say anything to thank Tsubaki. You're welcome, Tsubaki said with a small smile, but she was a little mad that Orochimaru didn't say anything. Now that you two have your tea, said Rias as she set her cup down. It's time for this meeting to start. I have a lot of questions for you two and I need answers. Sounds like you're demanding answers out of me, Orochimaru said with a laugh as he set his teacup down. Please tell me how you're going to do that, fufufu. Please, Sona said with a serious face, this meeting should be peaceful. We don't need anyone lashing out on each other. Well, I'm sure that some of you don't know who I am, so introductions are in order, Orochimaru said as he stood up and gave the younger devils a bow. My name is Orochimaru. I am a pawn of my master and I'll serve him until the ends of time. Lee stood up as well and copied Orochimaru's action. My name is Lee, also known as the beautiful green beast. I'm a rook, peace to my master's peerage. Please, let's become friends. Orochimaru rolled his eyes at Lee's introduction but kept his thoughts to himself. Now will you all introduce yourselves as well? Of course, Rias said as she stood up and flattened out her skirt. I am Rias Gremory, king of my peerage. Akino Himejima is my queen, Kiba Yudo is my knight, and Kaneko Tuju is my rook. It is a pleasure, she said with a bow. Where is Issei at? Will he be able to attend, Rias? Asked Lee. Well, Issei won't be attending. I guess he forgot to come today. My apologies. No problem. I'll talk to him soon and inform him on what he missed out on, Lee said with a thumbs up. Seems like I'm last, Sona said with a sigh as she stood up as well. My name is Sona Citri, however, my alias in the human world is Shirtorai Sona. My queen is Tsubaki Shinra, who you've already met. My 2 bishops are Momo Hanakai and Rei Kasaka. Tomo Meguri is my knight, and Tsubasa Yura is my rook, and my 2 pawns are Grenshiro Saji and Ruruko Nimura. We hope that this meeting will be beneficial for everyone, she said with a light bow, her peerage following her lead. Your alias here in human world is Shirtorai Sona? Orochimaru said with a creepy chuckle. I'd say you should have kept your real name because that isn't hiding anything from a supernatural being. I'm not trying to hide, Orochimaru, Sona said as she sipped her tea. I decided that when I came here to the human world, I didn't want my actual devil name on any records. It was my selflessness that made the decision to keep the anything related to devils off of anything human records. Good answer, Orochimaru said. I know, plus, if anyone from any faction were looking for me, she sent a glare right at the snake man. I'd gladly take up any issue they have. Oh ho ho, laughed Orochimaru. You really are a smart one, aren't you? Orochimaru laced his fingers together and leaned forward. It seems you already have a problem with me, so please state your worries. For one, I don't like how you introduced yourself to Rias a few days ago, Sona said with a small glare. It isn't right for you to barge into someone's territory and presenting yourself as a menace. Very disrespectful, if you asked me. she finished as she looked at Orochimaru accusingly. Oh, that? Orochimaru said with a fake smile. I did that because I thought that the daughter of a Mao would be stronger and could handle some of my ki. However, it seemed like she and her peerage couldn't handle it. I did say I was sorry for my actions earlier, but I was really disappointed in their reaction. A scowl slowly grew on Ria's face as Orochimaru continued to disgrace her peerage. She considered herself and her peerage strong, even after the beating that Lee gave them. She knew that they had room for improvement, but she wasn't going to let this man act better than them. I don't care how you feel about me, but I'm not going to let you casually talk down on my peerage. We have our own problems that we got through together, and we are still growing in strength every day. While you thought we should have endured your ki, you should be glad that you weren't charged in threatening someone of my status and thrown in jail. Rias countered. If you keep that same mindset, you'll be weak for the rest of your life. Orochimaru said with a sideways glance at Rias, whose eyes widened at Orochimaru's statement. If you keep on thinking that someone else will solve your problems, you'll never be able to solve them by yourself. I don't care who you are or what your status is, you've been pampered into thinking that your power comes from your rank, but we all know that's not true. Rias' glare was growing in intensity as Orochimaru continued speaking. Lee told me of the battle he had with you, along with your Rook and Knight. While I do not know how long those two have been devils, I do know that Lee has been a devil for about 2 years now, if I am correct. After receiving a nod from Lee, Orochimaru continued. Reincarnated humans start off as low-class devils. So you, Rias Gremory, a high-class devil, was thwarted by a 2-year low-class devil with the support of 2 of your peerage members. While Lee does consider that you all won the battle, it isn't a good look to be pushed to such ends by a rookie devil now, explained Orochimaru. Orochimaru muttered Lee, catching the creep's attention. Lee didn't like the direction of the conversation and was slowly getting uncomfortable with the growing tension in the atmosphere. Orochimaru sighed as he understood what Lee was getting at. While he enjoyed egging at the Gremory princess, he wasn't going to do it if it made Lee uncomfortable. Nevertheless, you understand where I'm coming from, and if you really are the heiress of the Gremory clan, you should act like it for once in your life, said Orochimaru. Rias growled at Orochimaru as her magic was actively moving inside of her in response to her anger. Everyone in the room felt it, but her magic grew even more aggressive when she saw Orochimaru's calm smile. He wasn't even scared of her. The disrespect he had shown her was getting to her, and she was going to show him who was boss. I'll show what being the heiress to Gremory really means, Rias yelled at Orochimaru as she stood up. Everyone, other than Orochimaru and Lee, ready for the fight that was about to break out. Rias! Calm down, Sona said with every bit of seriousness she had. All you're doing is proving his point. This is a peaceful meeting and you shouldn't let his words get to you. Rias took a few deep breaths as she took in Sona's words. I am acting out, I need to calm down, she thought to herself as she recalled her magic. Akino had a hand on Rias' shoulder to make sure she was okay. Rias gave Akino a quick nod, letting her know that she was good, and sat back down on her couch. All while this happened, Orochimaru was smiling to himself. Seems like I hit a weak point, thought Orochimaru. And while I do have an extra dirt on her, I need some type of information on the Citri girl that I could use for my advantage later on. Now that that's resolved, Orochimaru said as he was now the center of attention, I know you all have some questions about me and Lee. While I can't answer them all, I'll try my best to answer anything my master has deemed okay to inform you too. I have a question, Sona said to Orochimaru. Rias told me about the battle she and 2 of her peerage members against Lee. Lee's head perked up at hearing his name. What I want to know is, how did your master know about Issei's sacred gear? Good question. You are very analytic on a situation that didn't happen to you. I wish your friend was the same way, Orochimaru said with a quick shot at Rias. However, Rias kept her rage on the inside for now. My master scouts out anyone that catches his eye. He told me that he visited Ko about 2 months ago and felt the presence of a strong sacred gear here. He sent Lee to go investigate and see if he could recruit this person as his first major mission of the peerage. Correct, Lee chipped in. Master usually had me either doing small contracts or training most of the day. I was really excited to finally be able to go out and recruit someone to add to Master's peerage. If your master was in the area 2 months ago, why didn't we feel his energy, or why didn't he reveal himself to us? Asked Sona. Master is a very secretive person, Orochimaru said as he laced his fingers together. When I first met Master, he caught me by surprise. Even now, he'll pop up and I won't even know he's there until he says anything. He has a talent in hiding his presence. Also, he probably didn't want to reveal himself to you because that'll create extra competition over Issei, Lee added. Understandable, Sona summed up. While she wanted more information on their master, they were giving them simple answers that she couldn't build a strong hypothesis on who he was. I have a question, specifically for you, Orochimaru, Rias said, holding back a growl. How many pawn pieces are you worth? My number of evil pieces within me, Orochimaru muttered as he thought the question over. It may reveal an estimate of his master's level of power, but it still wouldn't reveal too much about their master. It took 3 pawn pieces to revive me, answered Orochimaru. Everyone's, other than Lee, jaw dropped at what Orochimaru said. 3 pawn pieces. And he was that strong? That's impossible, muttered Tsubaki as she felt Orochimaru's base magic levels he was letting off. She could tell that he was strong, very strong, but for someone of his strength and potential, it would take a regular high-class devil at least 6 pawn pieces. Just who is their master? Sona's queen thought to herself as she looked at Orochimaru. Just 3, Ria said in shock. She and her peerage felt, firsthand, the power that Orochimaru held within him. It would have taken her at least 5 or 6 pieces to revive Orochimaru, judging off of his strength. How is that possible? Explain? There you go, demanding answering questions again. I can give you a personal demonstration on how strong I am. That is, if you can handle me, he said with a slick smirk that gave Ria shivers. Never mind, you just explain yourself, Ria said as she turned away from the snake man, not wanting him to see the fear etched on her face. Well, you all do know how evil pieces work? Orochimaru asked. The stronger the devil is actually reincarnating someone, the smaller the amount of evil pieces needed to bring them back. There are also factors like if the reincarnated person already has a large magic reserve or not, heritage, potential, etc. My master was able to reincarnate me with only 3 pawn pieces because he was strong enough to do so. Also, something that I found out about while being a member of my master's peerage. I wasn't born a full human. Apparently, I have some Yukai heritage in me, serpent Yukai, to be more specific. My birth defect that I told you all in class was somewhat a lie. It isn't a birth defect, but it's my bloodline manifesting itself after its dormancy in my family. The bomb's chemical properties helped in manifesting my Yukai blood, giving me my pale skin, he explained. Amazing, muttered Sona as she looked at Orochimaru in wonder. This man was strong, she knew that from the fight that he had with Rias, but it almost frightened her thinking about how strong Orochimaru's master was. Just who is your master? Asked Sona. Sorry, that's a question I cannot answer, said Orochimaru. Master likes his privacy, but he'll reveal himself when the right conditions are met. What do you mean by that? Asked Rias. My master wants to show off the power of his peerage before he makes his entrance, explained Orochimaru. He has handpicked his peerage and knows that we have the power to do things no one has seen before. I'll be the one leading the peerage until my master makes his arrival. I am my king's advisor, so your king wants his peerage to show its strength. How will you all do that, and who else is in your peerage? Asked Rias. Well, the first way we are going to introduce ourselves to the underworld is by challenging and defeating popular devils in a raiding game. We'll keep on sending out challenges until we are recognized for our strength, the snake man explained. My master's peerage is very strong, and we are available for any service that anyone may have. So if you two have any problems that you know you cannot solve yourselves, we are here to help. Rias' eyebrow rose at that. Maybe they can help her with her own problem. Before meeting you, Lee said that he hadn't met anyone else from his peerage. Do you know of any others from your peerage? Asked Sona. I know most of them, but I haven't met our queen yet, answered Orochimaru. We have a queen? Said an excited Lee. I bet she's amazing. Super strong, super beautiful, can make fire with her bare hands, can cook protein-filled meals, and more, he shouted. Yes, I hope she can do that too, said a deadpanned Orochimaru. Anyway, I come to you two to let you know that my master's peerage members should be coming here soon to set up base. We'll use this town as our base of operations and we promise to behave ourselves. So you think you can just move into our territory without our permission? Said an angry Rias. Didn't the fallen angels already do that? Asked Orochimaru with a smirk, causing Rias to growl out in anger and embarrassment. Well, in order to please such high-class devils, I'll ask you two politely to allow my master's peerage to hold asylum here in Ko. However, even if you say no, we'll still make Ko our base of operations. So, do you agree? Asked Orochimaru with a grin filled with evil. Sona glanced at Rias and saw the anger that filled her face. Sona thought that maybe together they could have a chance at defeating Orochimaru and Lee, but a peerage filled with monsters as strong as or even stronger than Orochimaru? They were going to have to play this one safe. What are you thinking, Rias? Sona asked out loud. I think that we should report this man to our siblings, said Rias with a smile. No matter how strong Orochimaru or his master's peerage was, they couldn't be stronger than Surzex. Fufufu spoken like a true coward, Orochimaru said. All you're doing is supporting the fact that you aren't a real heiress and can't make decisions on your own. How pathetic. Rias saw red as she stood up from her seat again. This man was pissing her off to no end. You think I'm an incompetent, huh? She yelled at the snake man. I'll show you. You can stay here and you'll be watched by me personally. You won't do anything crazy while here at our territory. Remember your place while living here, understood? She yelled. Orochimaru gave Rias a kind smile, knowing he had won the physiological battle. Why, thank you so much for agreeing to us staying here. I really appreciate it. Rias snapped out of her rage-filled mindset as she realized that she was played. Shit, well then, I'll say that this meeting is a success. We shall live here in Ko under your rule for now. I promise that we'll keep things to a minimum and help protecting the town. I hope we can have another meeting like this soon, said Orochimaru as he got up from the couch with Lee following his lead. Oh wait. I didn't. Good day, said Orochimaru as he and Lee headed out the door. Time to schedule a meeting with Serorg Bale. And with that, the two closed the door behind them. Wait, said Sona as she stood up from her seat in shock. Did he say that he's going to meet up with Serorg? Ria's eyes also widened at what Orochimaru said. If he was going to meet with her cousin, then it must be because that he wanted to challenge him in the name of his master. Also, Orochimaru was a smart man, so he wouldn't take any challenge he knew he wouldn't win. If he's confident enough to challenge Serorg, then he must be strong enough to defeat Riser. Outskirts of Ko, Orochimaru and Lee appeared in front of a large, two-story house outside of town. While it wasn't a mansion, something that Rias and Sona were used to living in, the house was big enough to hold several people. The two entered in silence, thinking back on the meeting they just had with the two heiresses. To Orochimaru, it went just as he planned. While he didn't learn anything major about Sona, his main target, Rias Gremory, fell right into his trap. He knew about her forced marriage situation and specifically expressed how strong his master's peerage was and that they were able to be rented out for services. That way, whenever they need something from the redhead, Orochimaru was sure to exploit her weaknesses for their own cause. Lee sat down on a couch in the living room while running his hands through his hair in stress. What they did didn't feel right at all. He didn't want to be enemies with the other devils, but with Orochimaru acting the way he was, it wouldn't be long before his new friends will become his new enemies. Something troubling you, Lee? Orochimaru as he crossed his arms. I don't know about this, Orochimaru, he said with worry. Aren't we supposed to make friends with them? Wouldn't that make things easier? Orochimaru sighed and took a seat on one of the couches in the room. Yes, that would make things easier. However, with what we are trying to do, this is one of the few ways we can succeed in our goals. What are we trying to do, Orochimaru? Lee yelled. I've been a member for 2 years, but you're the first person in this peerage I've met, and that was just a few days ago. Another sigh escaped the snake man's lips. It was unfair that they had waited this long to explain to Lee what was going on. Maybe it was time to explain to him, said a voice in Orochimaru's head. That voice was the same voice that saved him long ago, and he promised to follow his master's every order. Nodding to himself, Orochimaru looked up at Lee's angry face. It was now time to explain everything. Lee, you need to know everything, said Orochimaru. Lee's eyebrow rose a little. He had always been curious about why his master never shown himself to him, always appearing as a small orange orb that reeked of power. Our master is currently in a seal somewhere in this world, he explained, causing Lee's eyes to widen in shock. Sealed? How? And why is he like this? Asked Lee. Long ago, before either you or I was born, our master was on the front lines of a civil war of devils. There was the old Satan faction, who wanted to keep traditions alive, and the anti-Satan faction, a group of devils opposing the old, wanting to move on from old traditions and bring about new ones, like the evil peace system. The war lasted several years, yet our master fought and lived to see the end. He was one of the more memorable devils in the battle because of the power he displayed during the fight. Really? Said Lee in wonder. If their master was able to live through such a war, he had to be stronger than what Lee had once thought. However, there were some complications during the war, dealing with ranking in the Devil Society. Even the anti-Satan faction, who was fighting against the evil old faction, had its own evils to deal with. Said Orochimaru. Are those same evils the reason why he was sealed? Asked Lee. Yes. You may not know this, but our master was born a low-class devil in the Bale clan, he said. Born Naruto Bale, our master made his way up the ranks during the war, but he was still a low-class devil. One thing the nobles didn't like that our master did was show up their children during the war. However, the thing that had the devil world angry was that Naruto-sama was dating a young devil from the Citri clan, Seraphal Citri, the heiress to the Citri clan. Lee squinted his eyes as he listened to Orochimaru's tale. He knew where this was going. Naruto-sama loved her a lot, but she had her own duties to her clan that she put before Naruto-sama. They were demanded to separate after the war, but they stayed together. Sick of waiting, the leader of the Citri clan called to remove Naruto-sama out of the picture by force. He ordered some of his clansmen, and got help from other clans, to put Naruto-sama away in a seal. He showed him mercy because he meant a lot to his daughter, but he didn't want her to be involved with him any longer, so they sealed him up somewhere we don't know. Lee assumed, getting a nod of confirmation from Orochimaru. Okay, that explains a lot, but there are still questions I have. One being, how does Naruto-sama have an evil pieces in the first place? Your story tells me that he is still a low-class devil while in his seal. So how does he have a peerage? That is a good question, muttered Orochimaru as he rubbed his chin. How does their master have an evil piece set when he is still a low-class devil? I don't know how he cheated the system, or even if he cheated it at all. I did say that he was marvelous in the Civil War. Maybe he was offered it then, but we would have known about that. I would have known about that because of all the research I've done on him. Well, we'll figure it out some other day, said Lee. Let's get back into the main reason why we're here. So Naruto-sama is sealed by high-class devils. The question now is, how do we get him out? That question, fortunately, has been answered by Naruto-sama himself. Before he was sealed, he killed some of those who conducted the sealing process, weakening the strength of his jail. That's how he's been able to create his peerage while still in his seal. Our master's mind must be strong to handle the struggle of being stuck in seal for centuries, planning his escape every day and making his peerage strong. Naruto-sama is as cunning as he is patient, and doing this while nobody knows you're alive, muttered Lee. I don't know how he could do it. I'd go crazy stuck in something, by myself. For centuries he must be lonely.